City Council Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, met in council chambers on Wednesday, May 31st, 2017 at 6 p.m. For the purpose of discussing the matters listed below. Notice of this meeting was posted on May 11th, 2017 at 12:59 p.m. This meeting is being recorded. All members of the Committee for Administration and Finance are in attendance, and we also have Councilor Terrio from the Committee of the Whole. The subjects tonight, we have the mayor's budget, the legal budget, human resources, city clerk, city council, elections, planning, conservation commission, planning board, marketing, tourism, historic commission, capital improvement plan. From the administration, we have Sarah Stanton, our finance director. We also have Beth Renard, our legal, our city solicitor. We also have Tom Daniel from planning. We have Cheryl Lapointe from city clerk, and we also have Kate Fox from Destination Salem. I thought we could start with legal, if that's all right. We need a mic for you though, don't we?
I'll speak loudly.
So before we get started, just a little housekeeping. Is that okay, Beth? Councilor Dibble had asked for a breakout last night of employees that are receiving beyond the 2.5% or inclusive of and beyond the 2.5% cost of living adjustment. So copies have been given to each of you. Lisa Camerata is on her way over. She is printing on very large, very non-eye chart based paper, the salary survey that was used in making a lot of these decisions. So I just wanted to preface that, as you do see that it will match up with each budget. So go ahead, Beth, sorry.
So you have a lot before you tonight, so I'll just go over quickly and get questions. The solicitor's budget includes the salaries of the solicitor, assistant solicitor, the licensing board clerk, the licensing department, paralegal, attorneys for the licensing board. The mayor included raises for the staff, included in the personnel items. In the expense line items, we have legal services budget, which is level funded at $50,000. We have $200 for advertising, $100 for printing, office supplies, which would include things like paper and ink and that type of thing. Dues and subscriptions, which is primarily our Lexis, Nexus, and other legal tools that we use in the office. And then the 7,000 judgments, that is the line item that is used by the OLA committee to settle any claims up to $2,000.
So, Beth, just a question. So is Vicky increasing her time? Is that what the variance, the point of the variance is?
Your time increased last year. The increase in time, or the increase is based on dollars, so the increase is a little bit more, but her time was increased last year.
Yeah, so her time stays the same. There was a salary adjustment. I think it's, I haven't seen the sheet yet, but I think it was 3%.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Any other committee members have questions? Councilor Fair?
Yes, please. Mr. Pure retired after 8 years of service back there on the school committee with him when he was doing negotiations on the school. He also did police and fire department with him over the years. Amazing man with Mr. Daly. So, Vicky, doing any other services for that position? Any consulting?
He's doing the collective bargaining negotiations for the city side of the contracts, and she is also assisting in some school department work as well. Not to the level of the school committee staffing that Dan did for the school committee directly, but is assisting the superintendent.
Well, in good hands. Thank you.
Any other members of the committee?
Get through you. Beth, I was looking through the police department budget, and they have a line item for Westlaw. Is this something that you could kind of join with them? So
Sure, I didn't know they had their own account. Yeah, certainly.
Okay.
Yep, Dennis King has the account, so he uses it.
Yeah, no, I have no doubt that they use it for maybe, you might save a little money.
I think with my subscription at 3, I could probably add one. You could probably share.
Okay.
That's a good point. Thank you. I didn't know that.
No.
Yeah, that's. I think some of it too is that Sharon Lewis also used it, so we should have a shared license or some sort of.
Yeah, I don't know what else you use Lexus as well.
I use Lexus.
I don't, whatever. Oh, you don't use Westlaw. You don't. Okay. Maybe you can teach them to use Lexus.
It's cheaper, actually.
Lexus is cheaper, yeah. Okay. All right, that was it.
All right, I'll call Dennis, thank you.
Okay.
Counselor Terrell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, Ranking Member of the committee. My question, it's not a football or anything, I'm just sort of curious, what are we generally using outside legal service? I know we have a lot of good in-house expertise, your own work, for instance, Vicky's work on marijuana that's been going forward. She's done a ton of work on that. What kind of stuff are we generally using outside services on?
Primarily litigation. So we use Lenny Femino for the Riverside contract cases and title work, title exams. So litigation, usually relative to a contract, and sometimes I use Jill Mann's office for zoning cases, planning board, ZBA cases.
And my only follow-up question on that is how is the Northside case progressing at this point?
Slowly,
I kind of figured as such.
very slowly. So we're in the discovery phase right now and not much has happened.
Okay, thank you.
Any other members of the committee have questions? Counselor Devlin?
Sarah, throughout the budget, we see comments on here for significant budget and staffing changes, et cetera. What is significant in terms of a pay raise, in your opinion?
So I don't have an opinion on that because my job as finance director is just to make sure that it balances. So when we talk about significant budget and staffing changes, it's typically related to expense items or to a change in the staffing. So say Vicki Caldwell is now, go ahead, Beth, go ahead.
So I think the council should know that when I prepared the narrative, that was before the mayor made any adjustments in salary. Otherwise, they would have been referenced there. So the narrative that you see from my department was my submission to the mayor.
The narrative for every department is going to be after any sort of increase. So what happens in the process, we start in about January. Each department puts forward both their narrative for review, and it usually gets edited a couple times between now and then the mayor and I work through all the different numbers, what's coming in for local aid, to see what we'll be able to give for any sort of raise, increase, cost of living adjustment. So typically the narratives are done, printed, in place long before any sort of increase comes. But for notes in the budget, and you'll see in different departments, you'll see it in mine with the addition of staff in my department of it. Someone leaving and someone coming on, you'll typically see a change in that way, or if there's a significant expense that's being incurred in that year.
Okay, just trying to get a handle on pay raises, for an example, if you would. And I thank you for the spreadsheet we just got. I haven't had time to really digest it yet because I just looked at it 5 minutes ago for the first time. And over here, it says significant budget changes, and I see none here. So I'm thinking that, okay, nobody's getting a big raise, unlike the woman in the, at the Witch House, who clearly deserves a substantial raise. Sure. And I support that.
I would argue the very same about city solicitor Renard and assistant city solicitor Caldwell.
No, there's no doubt. I know we're on that department. But in general, how can I look at this going forward and find these numbers without having you jump through hurdles like this?
So
how can we do it easily?
This is easily. It's part of my job. You asked me to put something together, and I was glad to put it together on the council's behalf. Some councilors do it as little notes on the side. Mm-hmm. I typically don't put something like this, and I'm happy to do it unless someone requests for it. You requested it. You have it for tonight's meeting. I'm glad to do it. It's not part of my job. I'm happy to do it. In terms of the narratives, though, to speak to Beth's point, all of the narratives were printed prior to the mayor giving a 2.5% increase or anything above that. So the narratives would not reflect that change, and they will be updated when the final budget is printed to reflect any changes that have been approved. But the mayor and I work through numbers up to the last minute, seeing what we can afford to give staff members. So none of the narratives will say a significant increase or a raise or anything like that, because they were determined in the last 2 weeks trying to see what we can afford.
Sure. So the question is, how can we justify giving larger raises, 3%, 4%, 5%, whatever the numbers are, there's a variety here, to certain employees when the union employees are going to be getting maybe 2.5% or less percent.
So, Councilor Dibble, we talked about this a little bit last night. I think it would be premature to discuss what's being done in collective bargaining right now, as we are in the middle of contract negotiations and those are confidential. In terms of justifying the increases, I think that's a question that's probably best asked for the mayor. She did indicate last night, and I think Beth could speak to the history of it a little more clearly, that for several years prior to the mayor's administration, union employees were giving a consistent raise, whether 2.5% or 3% or higher. While exempt employees were either given zeros or had an increase in health insurance, a whole myriad issue. What we're seeing now, and that's why the salary survey I think is helpful for all of you, is that so many years of holding the line and being very fiscally stringent has resulted in so many of our department heads being significantly below their counterparts in other communities. Is there ever a good time to give a raise to anyone? No. As the finance director, is that something that I certainly struggle with the mayor to make sure it balances on the top and the bottom? Absolutely. But I think good work is being done here on both the union and the non-union and the exempt employees. I would never want there to be an impression that the union employees have not been given and will continue to be given fair, worthy compensation packages. What they're going to get in this next contract cycle, I absolutely cannot speak to because we're in the process of confidential negotiations now. But the mayor has been very good about parity between union and non-union employees, trying to both acknowledge that the exempt employees were passed over for so many years and also commend the good work that's being done in the union. Beth, you want
May I add to that, Counselor? If you look at the budget sheet here, for example, in this department, you'll see the net increase in salaries is 2.57%. And then if you look at the second sheet with all the specific employees, you'll see the change in the salary here. And to speak about having been the lead negotiator for the union contracts for many, many years, there are mechanisms within the union structure to give upgrades within the negotiation. There are salary surveys that are done on a union level, and adjustments are made. People are moved in job title or job rank, and there are adjustments that are made frequently. Oftentimes, like with the police department, there are adjustments made in their stipends. Some were rolled into base several years ago. So there are different mechanisms to move people along and to change grades for individuals who might be below a salary survey level. So that does happen in the union contracts as well. You just wouldn't see it.
What I'm concerned is, and I just stated, I just want to make sure that we're treating people equally across the board. Clearly, some people are doing a better job or doing more of a job as well, like the woman at the witch house, like I just said. But when across the board we're giving a certain percentage raise here, and maybe the union is getting a different or lower percentage rate, which we don't know yet, I'm a little uncomfortable wanting to see it clear. I asked for these numbers a while ago.
You asked for them yesterday, Councilor.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I asked for them yesterday morning. I thought I was going to get them yesterday before the meeting. I got them now, and I'm happy I have them. Next year, I'll be asking for them, a week or two in advance. So I apologize for the shortness, but I thank you for the timeliness of getting this spreadsheet. I didn't know it was this in-depth, because I was told it was a few workers that were getting a sizable raise. Then I was told it was about, I think it was 17 workers or so it got up to. Now it's up to 40 odd workers.
So, Council, you asked for the list of anyone above 2.5%.
Yes.
I would argue that 3% would not be considered sizable. But you asked for the information, we were glad to provide it. Something else I probably should add, and I think Beth could speak to this a little bit more comprehensively, in terms of union compensation, there's a great deal that comes with that package. It's not just a cost of living increase. Typically, there are requests and asks on both sides of the aisle that make a total compensation package that oftentimes values much greater than 2.5%. So I want to be clear that when we are having union negotiations, and we are in them now, it is not just a flat amount of money. It never is. It hasn't been in my tenure here, and I think Beth would probably attest to the very same.
So I'm sorry to come in late to this dialogue, but I guess I would also just want to raise a couple of points, which is we try and really be judicious. I think this is actually one of the few years that the number of folks getting above what we consider to be the base that most people are getting for an increase is a bit higher. And I think we were trying to recognize both the volume of work. I don't know, I've been in office now over 10 years, and I don't know that we've been at the pace that we're at now. in terms of projects and programs, new innovations, all happening at the same time. I just spent most of yesterday morning talking with T officials about the train closure and how that's going to impact downtown Salem traffic and what we're going to be doing about it. We've got a whole team assembled now working on that. So some of it's not even things that we're undertaking, it's just the circumstances that we're in a kind of a boom era right now, and a lot of work is happening on older infrastructure, and it takes more time and more attention. I'd also say that, with all due respect, although counselors do happen to work with some of these individuals, they're not working directly for you. So I think we have better insights as an administration about who is taking on more work, what that workload looks like. You know, we're trying to pay attention to that. So these are the numbers that we really feel are reflective of. Most of these increases are just slightly above the 2.5%. You know, the planning department staff who has been doing yeoman's work. There's not a grant. There's very few grants that we write that we don't get. Most of that comes out of that department. There are very few items that we're working on that doesn't necessarily involve a team effort with multiple disciplines in different departments. This yesterday morning's meeting with the T involved traffic and parking, involved police, involved public safety officials like fire and building, as we're trying to coordinate the array of services that might be necessary for an 8 to 10 week period of time, while also trying to work with planning on additional waterfront options for the weekends so that we can try and accommodate both commuters and tourists. So there's a lot going on, and we're just trying to adequately compensate people. We have been fair with our unions. I think we've always had union contracts that reflect the fact that we have folks who are working hard. We just completed our 8th annual resident survey. We continue to see really high customer satisfaction numbers coming from residents who are taking that. So believe me, I'm not trying to be wishy-washy with taxpayers' money. We are trying to recognize that we have folks putting in a lot of hours, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of attention on a lot of projects right now, and trying to make sure that we're adequately compensating that. A lot of it is steeped in the salary survey, and you know, from my perspective, we're working with these folks daily, the administration is, and this is before you as a proposal. I hope you will take it under consideration and try and recognize that, you know, some of these positions warrant additional enhancements beyond what happens. And when we don't do things like this, I'll also point out, there are times when people are leaving, right? They want to pursue other opportunities, or they leave because they can make more money elsewhere. And then we hire somebody else new and we have to bring them in at a higher rate just to attract that type of talent. That's happened several times with building inspector positions and others. So we're trying to avoid that as well. If we have good people and we can keep them, we'd like to do that. And I will, you know, I guess I'll stop there. I appreciate the vetting of it, and I'm happy to talk about it more, but I also want you to know where it's coming from.
Councilor Fury.
Yes, they said that as a teacher for 40 years, unionized. We had wages, hours, and working conditions. We didn't always get a raise that we would want there, but we knew we were going to get benefits. I'm retired now, 80% of my last salary, last 3 years. Amazing, the union movement. These are all non-union people. And the mayor sees these people on a daily basis. They are the wind beneath her wings and our wings. And she sees them. She would love to give a raise to almost everybody, if she could, if the money was there. But these are the people that she thinks that have fallen behind over the years. And I fell behind over the years in teaching. There were 3, 4, 5 years that teachers didn't get raises. Skipped it, maybe 1% raise, and so on. So I think it's these people, we see them on a daily basis ourselves and as a city councilor, but I think the mayor works with them 365 days a year, and she knows what she has. It's her team, and it's like a football coach, Bill Belichick, and negotiations for different people, football salaries and so on. These are not exorbitant raises. Yeah, we know these people. They all have a human face to them. The planning department, second to none. Second to none. And I think some of us have worked for the planning department in this city council chamber, and where we are today in the 21st century, it is amazing. So I would like to see more raises for more of these people and more people, but we don't have the money. So I think what the mayor has done in this list, and the human resource and finance director Sarah, I think it's a very important, wonderful situation there, and I appreciate it. I wish we could do more, but I think she's the executive branch. We are the legislative branch. It's our authority only to set the salary of the city clerk and the assistant city clerk. That's our direct power as a city councilor. We don't have the power to say 5% here, 2% here, 10% here. We don't have that. It's up to the executive branch, and in their wisdom, in this case, her wisdom and her team, these are the people who are getting raised. We did the same deliberations as the city council, set in the salary of the mayor, $15,000 one year, $15,000 second year. We're going to get a little raise on top of that, part of that salary. So I think we have to use our professional judgment and confidence and trust in the mayor and the team that she works with, and how lucky we are to have that team. These are great people. I have no reservations for any of these raises. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilor Tiriel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, I just have one. First off, as I said before we got started, I think this salary survey chart is terrific, as is this reference guide that you provided as well. I think this is great. I thank Councilor Dibble for asking for it. I think it's really nice. We've made some changes and additions to the budget over the years, like adding in place a field for total compensation for employees who are split across departments. Remember, we made that change a few years ago, and that was so a lot of these things made the budget easier to understand and easier to make clear. The question that I have, which on this non-union salary increases, I see, the number, and this is really good to have it laid out here. I think this is terrific. My one question that feeds off this is roughly how many non-union employees do we have?
I would have to get you the full number, because the library's got a cadre of non-union employees.
I believe Lisa knows it, and she just gestured and said, okay, am I safe to go to the bathroom? And I should have said no. We'll ask Lisa when she
Perfect
gets back
timing.
out. We were just talking about this recently, the union versus non-union.
I mean,
we have quite a few part-time as well, so that plays into that number, but
Yeah.
Lisa should know when she gets out of the restroom.
I mean, I think
Seasonal, so on.
And seasonal, yeah.
it looks like it's, just arguably like maybe just thinking of probably a couple of hundred or so.
What, these
maybe more.
increases are?
No, of non-union employees.
Nina, do you know?
And when I was HR director, it was about 350. Somewhere.
And I'm sure the number stayed, probably somewhere within range of that.
Yeah.
So you're talking about roughly 40 people out of this are getting somewhat higher, and most of them are getting 3 to 3.5%. I think that's...
There's 35 on this list, I
Yeah.
believe, if I just counted actually. 41 on this list?
40.
Okay, I must have missed a line, sorry.
I think, it's looking at these figures, most of them are on here because instead of a 2.5, it's a 3%. So, and I know there have been a few instances where, in my other years here so far, where we've been held the line at 2.5% for people when salaries were escalating beyond that. And I think there's at least one case where we were at 2%. So,
Yes, absolutely, yeah. We can get back to you with that number.
yeah, I guess it's more for reference's sake, because it's really interesting to see it laid out here like this, and very helpful, so.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Councilor Lovely?
Just a comment really in regard to the raises. One thing that hasn't changed in 39 years since I first got here is this is the mayor's budget. The mayor has to make the city run. And by virtue of her department heads and people who perform, and to attract people to fill those roles, it's her job to take a look at that. Nobody's ever happy. If you employ people, you give somebody a raise, somebody's unhappy. So it's not a perfect system, but it's the prerogative of the mayor to decide what she needs best to run the city and run the budget. So I've never been one to really look at cutting a budget. It is the mayor's budget. I can vote at the end of to vote either for the budget or against the budget. I won't do that. But it is the mayor's budget, and really for me, these are questions that I ask her so that I know where that money's going. And it's the mayor's budget. She'll live with it. I'm sure she works very hard at it with her staff. But I have to give all due deference to anybody who's sitting in the corner office. It's a tough job, and you need to get the people that you feel are going to produce. And you won't have any disagreement from me relative to raises you think. Obviously, you would like to give more, sure. You'd like to be paid more, we all would. But there's a budget process, and you have to toe that line and be answerable to the taxpayer. So it's your budget. Most of my comments will be just questions about where monies are going, but I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Counselor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to wrap up, the reason for this request was an equity thing, so that the few to 17 to now 40 people that are getting more than 2.5%, that it was kind of equal to the union people that are out there cutting the grass and filling the potholes and other things. We don't know what those numbers are, but how about last year or the last 2 years? What did the union, the laborers and other people like that work really hard for us, what percentage rate did they get?
So, last year, what we did, I just stick over here, except for 1 sec, just so I could.
Just get on the mic.
We actually did a salary survey for our AFSCME union, and we determined that, we actually broke out, the way we looked at it, we actually ended up breaking out the increase that we offered, because we saw that a lot of our labor force was, according to the survey with surrounding towns, was actually underpaid, based on what we looked at in the surrounding communities. So we actually offered them 2.5%, 2.5%, and 2.5%.
That
And
doesn't include a list, which was not insignificant,
Right.
of other benefits. Increases for stipends related to a whole multitude of things. For the police department, an increase to the officer who's serving as officer in charge for the lieutenant.
Right.
An increase for the fire department relating to longevity or to senior master veteran. There's
fire prevention or.
a couple years before that, it was rolling all the stipends into the base. So I think that the package at bare minimum was 2.5, 2.5, 2.5.
Right.
In addition to that, there were several other items, and I'd be happy to go over that with you, Counselor, of additional benefits that are making the compensation package much larger overall.
So that 3 years of 2.5 went to the Public Works union employees.
Yep, Public Works, Police, and Fire. And that's the base. Of
How do we treat that to the 3% or higher for these 40 people? Why are we not balanced in treating everybody more equal? Unless they deserve a raise on top of it, not just a regular raise.
So just to be clear, we have exempt employees that have a different type of duties. They also aren't beholden to just 40 hours a week. I mean, you can recall our days working in the planning department. There were not the same, I would say, type of tasks being offered. Most of these positions are more professional in nature and sometimes come with certifications and additional job titles and advanced degrees. But most importantly, I think we looked at the survey. A lot of this is on merit, but we also look at the comparison of the salary survey for what these positions are being paid in similar cities and towns. And we're below market for some of the positions that just carry out apples to apples. Our purchasing agent is an attorney on top of, being a certified public purchasing official, way underpaid in comparison to
below
other,
the average.
in comparison to other purchasing officials. So we are trying to correct some of those wrongs. Now, she was hired as a first-year purchasing agent, but she's not a first-year agent anymore. She's been doing it for a number of years. She's got experience. We don't want to lose good people. So I understand your desire to make sure they're even. The vast majority of people, if we're at 300 or 350, we can get that number for exempt employees, are getting a 2.5. The vast number on this list are going up slightly above that at 3. And there's a few other outliers where we're really trying to make sure we're being consistent and we're recognizing meritorious work. No one's more concerned with trying to make this fair. I walked into a system where exempt employees never got annual increases. We were way far behind in where we were in comparison to other communities. We were losing people all the time who were leaving, getting paid in other places. So we want to be consistent. And unionized employees were getting raises every single year because they had a collective bargaining agreement, they were negotiating. So we want to be fair on both fronts, Counselor. It shouldn't be unfair that you're not part of a union, that you're not getting an increase. We do look at the workload and we look at the salary survey and we come up with numbers. And this is what's proposed before you. And I think it's a fair number. I think it's fair to the employees. I think it's fair to the taxpayers. And I think it's fair to folks who, when we negotiate with the union, we're transparent. We go in with calculators, but we're really trying to solve problems. Our unions work with us to shift health insurance costs. We work to reimburse things like digital scans in areas to make sure it's fair. We've worked on sick leave buyback. Every single agreement now, new employees don't walk in with a sick leave buyback provision, but we do allow buybacks earlier in the year at a reduced rate. So it is a balance. I like our employees. I appreciate the hard work that they're doing. I just went through some of the details of the resident survey with an all-staff meeting earlier this morning, first thing this morning, that we had with employees from across departments. And the results are really, really good. Like, people who responded to that survey talked about the value in dealing with employees that were knowledgeable, that were responsive. So it's a natural labor management relationship, but it's one of us trying to work together to deliver high-quality services. So I don't want you to think that we're trying to be unfair to our frontline employees. I think it's just the opposite.
I want to be clear that, thank you, Madam President.
Actually, can we get back to the legal budget if there were any more questions about the legal budget?
Yeah.
Since,
Can you remember me for a minute? Let me have one sentence in here. I want to be clear that I treasure these employees, and I know that they work hard, and a sizable number of them are my personal friends. I see the work that people I don't know are doing in the city, and I also feel that we want to retain these people. So my comments, I need to ask the hard questions on this, but my comments and my questions are not indicative of any lack of trust or misunderstanding with these people. They're hard workers.
Great, thank you.
thank you. So any further questions about the solicitor's budget? No? Councilor McCarthy?
I'll just make one comment, then I'll make a motion. I just want to thank Beth and her department. Anytime I have a problem or an issue or a question, she is always there to answer the phone and very, very responsive, so I have no issues whatsoever with this budget, and with seeing no further comment.
Could I just...
Okay, Councilor Lovely?
I know it's been 39 years since I'm here. If there are no cuts, I'm just wondering if we can't just approve the budget as recommended rather than doing 1, 2, and 3 at the time.
Okay.
There's no requirement to do so. It just seems... Amen. Unless it's going to be...
Okay,
Oh, trust me, this is, the only reason I'm doing it is because they wouldn't let us do it before.
Yeah.
okay.
Amen.
I am,
We had a discussion last year when the tediousness of, a motion, a second, a vote, a motion, a second, a vote, 3 times. That's all. I'll make a motion that we're able to do that.
Council, I'm with you. Thank you.
can we all second
As not a
that?
member of the committee, I will just, believe it or not, what we had last year was slightly streamlined
Right.
from Councilor Prevey when he was ANF chair, and then myself the 2 years after that. We did reduce some of the motions necessary, but the more the better.
I have no problem
Okay.
approving the whole thing, but
Nina Bridgman and I also second that.
Okay, great. Honorary members.
with that, all that being said,
Yeah.
I move to approve the department total in the amount of $343,108.
Second.
Hallelujah. Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the solicitor licensing, legal services and licensing total personnel and non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $343,108, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Beth.
Wow, progress.
Okay, so,
Leaps into the 2000s.
Wow.
Or back to 1977.
Whichever way you want to look at it.
Some things were better back then. I'm not sure how many.
okay, should we go,
Bell bottoms, baby.
anybody
Bring 'em
feel
back.
strongly about,
I can't hear.
okay, does anybody feel strongly about going to the mayor first and then human resources, or?
I mean, the mayor has to,
I'll be here last.
She's right there. Oh,
the mayor is
she'll
going to be
right-
last, she's
okay.
going to be here anyway.
Yeah, mayor schmayor. Okay.
Sorry, Mayor.
Yeah, I'm gonna be here.
Yeah, the mayor.
Let's get
Okay, so then let's do human resources.
Want to just start at the top and work our way down, the city clerk, right down the
That
list?
was the top. We were mayor, legal, human services, legislative, and planning.
I'm looking at the top of this list, sorry.
Okay, so we are on section 11.
So the most notable change you'll see in the Human Resources Department is the reduction in the collective bargaining order. As part of the last round of contract settlements, we had 2 payments that were issued for our ASME union, which came out of that line item. We do not anticipate that being part of the 2018 to 2020 contract. But otherwise, Lisa has kept a level-funded, level-service budget.
Hi. Can I just ask one question that came up in your narrative? Successfully produced are 1095Cs. What are those?
Oh, yes. So with healthcare reform came the responsibility to issue 1095Cs, and those are forms that go, you probably all got them.
Oh, right, that just say that
Or a
you
lot
have
of
health
people in here, all
insurance.
employees got them. It's verification that a full-time employee was offered health insurance, and then whether or not he or she actually enrolled. It's an IRS requirement, and then those had to be submitted by, I want to say March 31st. and then we needed to get them in the mail to, ever actually submitted in the mail to people by March 31st. We actually were ahead of that deadline this year, which I was very happy about. And then we have an electronic filing of the same to the IRS.
Thank you.
It's a little tedious because, you know, you really have to go back into the munis system, and it's a little tedious for everyone, but, I mean, all other municipalities as well, but it worked. IT was phenomenal in their assistance this year.
Should also point out that over the last just about year and a half, we have gotten to complete online systems for all paychecks, all W-2s. We're really trying to streamline those efforts and create a little bit of a paperless, at least treasury and payroll system. And that's a combined effort with HR and IT. And it sounds easy for a lot of folks that maybe have been getting direct deposits for years. It's a really big shift for a lot of employees who are used to having a paper check, and we had to make sure that we communicated effectively, got all the information. It's a big city when you're talking about the public safety outpost, the school department outpost, and putting all those pieces together. So definitely want to thank staff and HR for their role in that, helping get that done. We're also continually working to educate around health insurance. That's been an Achilles heel for us because it's such an expensive cost. We've moved over to the GIC. We've been there now 5 years?
Yes.
5 years. So I think next year we definitely have on our list to explore options that we might have as a community going forward. This has the benefit of being more affordable, I guess I would say, with respect to being part of a larger pool. They're able to shoulder some of those increases. So it's been a plus from that perspective. And the health plans, there's an array of health plans. So if you're a retiree or wherever you might be living, not everyone's living in this area, there's definitely a wealth of health plans to choose from and some really high quality plans, but they don't have any Blue Cross Blue Shield products. And we have been a community that has in the past enjoyed Blue Cross Blue Shield, and even the Tufts program is now sort of closed off going forward. Yes. Part of that is cost driven at the state level. So we are, open to, I think, working with our Public Employees Committee, which also includes retiree representation, looking at what's the next foray look like for health insurance. Our fear, of course, is always that we get a great first-year deal, and then you see, steep increases. So we'd really want to lock in something for at least a 3-year trend. And I think health insurance is going up everywhere. It's definitely a really much more tricky and complex issue than it was 20 years ago, for sure. But we're very mindful of the work that we have to do around that and trying to really educate our employees. While we pay the bulk of the percentage, if you're an employee and you're paying 30% or 25% of the cost, as these rates have gone up, it's not insignificant. You've got real skin in the game. So we do spend a lot of time trying to both educate and work with our employees to utilize everything from cafeteria plans, so you can use those pre-tax deductions, fully avail yourself of that, and then try to reimburse for items that we know are items that happen, whether it's a digital scan, an MRI, inpatient admissions.
Inpatient, outpatient, right. We do 100% of the MRI, just increase that this year.
So our goal is to try and limit those hits to employees. If you have all of a sudden 2 MRIs and an inpatient admission, you could be paying $1,000 in copays. We shoulder some of that burden, and by staying in the GIC, we're keeping the premiums a little bit lower, but some of those copays have gone up, so we're trying to take the curse off that a little bit for employees going forward. But I do think we're going to be taking a look at that over the course of the next fiscal year.
And if I can ask another question, the MIA premium, that jumped up significantly.
So MIA is our property
6.75%.
and liability and casualty insurance, and also our workers' comp is done separately, but it's the Mass Interlocal Insurance Agency. So we have seen an increase.
Workers' comp? No, workers' comp or health insurance?
The premium, the workers' comp and premium.
Yeah. So
Still in the budget?
Are we still in human resources? or
We're
you
still in
jumping
human
ahead?
resources, or did you
Yes.
jump ahead?
No, did I jump? Oh my God, I did. Oh my God, wait, hang on, forget it. Let me ask afterwards, sorry. I accidentally, sorry.
That's okay.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. Thank you, Councilor McCarthy.
The property and liability insurance is in the treasurer's budget, so I was like, oh no, did we?
Sorry.
No problem.
Nope.
Yes, workers' comp is up. Makes us sad.
We'll talk about that after. And then Monica Dominguez, did she go to the treasurer this year?
Yes, so
Okay.
we had a vacancy, yes, in the treasurer's office, and Monica is now the payroll coordinator.
You're doing an awesome job.
Yeah, she really is.
Good. Any questions from Councilor Lovely?
I'm not sure if this is the right place, but you're probably the right person. Can can you tell me a little bit about the police and fire, and who else that we pay medical, not medical insurance, but co-pays out of pocket?
Yeah.
If you want, if this is the right spot to ask it, because I just saw, the finance director is kind enough to give me information I need, so I go through that to get an idea of what my questions might be. And I saw an awful lot of out-of-pockets in the police and fire, and maybe some other areas, school. I wanted to know how that works, and I'm sure it's contractual, but if you could explain how that works.
So some of the police and fire, I don't know exactly what you're looking at, but 111F or disability retirees, we have to pay for those out-of-pocket costs. So if somebody's on a 111F injury or illness in the line of duty, or a retiree who is disabled as a result of a line of duty injury, we owe their out-of-pocket medical expenses all the way. So that may be
part of the contract.
that's part of this contract and state law, state
Okay.
statute. And then what we do for our existing employees or retirees, as I said, as we've gone to the GIC, the premiums are a little bit lower, but some of the co-pays were stiff. And as part of our negotiations with the Public Employees Committee, the
PEC, the PEC.
we've negotiated picking up some of those costs so people don't get hit with big costs. Why don't you just...
Yeah, sure. And the mayor's correct. So it's with the PEC, we negotiated, when we moved to the GIC, we were required to put money aside for mitigation money to offset these costs. So we've continued, we still have that mitigation fund in place since then, and it's people are taking advantage of it. What we do is reimburse for in and outpatient copay, so that can run up to $1,500. In an outpatient, which is either like the surgery daycare or overnight stay, maternity, that sort of thing, as well as starting July 1, we'll do 100% of the $100 copay for high-tech imaging, which is CAT scans, PET scans, and MRIs.
Is that for all,
All employees, yeah, so I'm
every employee?
yeah.
Okay.
And you'll also see for 111F payments, there's medical expense lines in both police and fire. Oftentimes, they come back to you mid-year, just because it's so hard to predict how many injuries you'll have over the course of the year, and 111F through state statute requires that you cover those costs as part of your operating budget for both police.
So those costs you're referring to, the $100 co-pays that you've taken, is that coming out of your budget, this budget here we're talking about? Where would the money be?
That's
Yes.
that is.
It comes out of the mitigation fund, which was set up when we created the GIC. So we can give you a printout of what the balances in that fund is that comes out. But we created it at the time, so it's a separate fund.
So it's a separate fund?
Yeah, but it was created at the time of the GIC contractually
Okay.
for all of our labor agreements to cover those costs for high-tech imaging, maternity leave, everything
You
else.
have a rough idea, and you can provide
I
for that?
don't. Nina Bridgman was crunching the numbers in the corner. I can see.
I just...
No, she can get it.
It's just interesting to know, not knowing how.
It's about 80,000 left it right now. It was about close to 80. Close to.
What did you start with? What'd you budget? You can do that later, it's okay. I don't-
160. Frankly, it wasn't being accessed that much. It was probably costing us around 30 grand a year, or less certain years, depending on, who's going
Who's
in with those
aware, yeah.
inpatient.
So
We
they,
definitely try and spread the word. We want to make sure all our employees are aware of it.
not too loud, though. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, we were already
really do.
But even before we joined the GIC, just to be clear, we actually already had we had a reimbursement arrangement for employees for similar co-pays. And then when we joined the GIC, we put part of the savings that that we projected into that mitigation fund, so that it grew at that time.
But to be clear, 111F is accounted for separately because
Right.
there has to be a trail related to the on-duty injury.
Okay.
And you'll see, we just mentioned workers' comp. I actually have a workers' comp medical line in my budget because we still pay for some of this workers' comp medicals for tail claims for people who were injured prior to the time that we joined Maya, when we were self-insured.
And every new employee gets a health exam?
Pre-employment.
Yes, we do
physical.
pre-employment physicals,
And then,
yes.
I noticed a couple of payments for drug testing. Is that specifically police and
that-
fire? Or?
Yeah, no, that's with our CDL drivers.
Correct.
For
Okay,
DOT,
all right.
so we do random drug testing it's custom drug testing, and we don't know who they're going to go visit until
Yep.
the night before at about 4:00 in the afternoon.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Any other questions from committee members? Counselor Dibble?
Yes, thank you. In comparing this department's budget to the raises in other departments, like the planning department, for example, I know we're not on planning, but it's 3% across the board. And Lisa, you commented in your description here that the Human Resources Department is fully staffed with dedicated, terrific team, and went on from there. I agree, they're phenomenal. When I call with a question, B, just jumps all over and wants to reply.
Fortunate, I have very good staff.
Mayor, can I ask, did the director's workload increase so that the director is now getting 4.5%, whereas their staff is getting a little bit under 2.5% and a little bit over 2.5%?
As I think I've said at the beginning, most of the individuals who are slated to get slightly more are either taking on more tasks, are doing meritorious work in what they're doing, and/or have a salary survey that's less than their surrounding counterparts in surrounding cities and towns. What I'd really love for us to avoid doing is pitting employees who work in a department who are getting a 2.5% increase against someone who might be getting a 3.5% or a 4% increase. That actually doesn't really help. It just creates dissension. The good news is we're positioned as a community, due to a lot of hard work around budgets and finances, to be able to afford to give all of our employees, exempt employees, a 2.5% increase. And frankly, all of our union employees will see an increase this year. We're just in the middle of, or next year, we're just in the middle of starting some of the collective bargaining. They're still under contract, and in fact, they're getting a 0.5% increase on June 30th. So I did not anticipate that providing some additional compensation for people who are working extremely hard, who are paid below their salary survey counterparts, and are doing meritorious work, to create a situation where we're now going to create dissension with employees who are getting 2.5% increases. So I appreciate your concern about this, but when we start doing that comparison in a public meeting, that creates an error of, I think, a lack of teamwork and culture. They're not unionized employees. We're trying to recognize good service. We're trying to look at the salary survey. We're trying to be thoughtful about that approach. That's what's behind that increase. That's my rationale for why there's a distinguishment between employees.
And let the record reflect that Councilor Fumiko has joined us tonight. Are there any other questions from committee members? Councilor Debo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion that the Human Resources Director's salary increase be reduced down to 3%.
Point of order. It doesn't work that way. For you can't reduce specific salary. You could reduce, if you had an amount in mind, you could make a motion that the personnel budget be reduced by a certain amount, but you can't request it by a position.
Councilor McCarthy.
I'd like to concur with that statement. Any deduction in any budget, it's a monetary amount, because then it's still up to the department head to determine where they're going to allocate the funds within their budget. So if your will is to deduct, then you have to come up with a number that you want to deduct from the personnel line item. You can't specifically highlight one individual. You can come up with an amount that's equal to that, but the way it's done is you can't specifically deduct a position. You can deduct an amount or up to an amount or whatever your will is, but then it's still up to the department head to determine after the fact that how they deal with the deduction.
Councilor Debo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll rephrase my motion. I'd like to make a motion to reduce the Human Resources Department line item number by an amount equal to setting the director's position at a 3% pay increase.
No, Councilor Debo, you can't do that.
I just did.
That's not how it works.
Hold on, that is a specific number. I just don't know what the number is. That's a specific
So you
number.
have to give the number if you're going to give a reduction, just like when we make a recommendation to approve and we say the specific number, you have to give a specific number.
I believe that you are incorrect, Madam Chair. I'm stating a specific number, how to get to that number.
Again,
if you humor me, I'll do the math, or possibly...
Councilor Dibble, you'll have to do that math. If you'd like to make a cut to one of the budgets, you'll have to do that math.
May I ask a question, please?
okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To our Finance Director, could you please tell me what a 3% pay increase would be for our Human Resources Director?
Yeah, we can run that number. Nina, do you know what that is? Have you got your calculator out over there?
180442.
Counselor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion to reduce the Human Resources total department budget by $2,000. Just for the record, that would be an equal amount, not part of my motion, that would be an equal amount to reducing the director's pay to a 3% pay increase.
Do I have a second? No second, the motion fails. Counsel McCarthy.
Seeing no further discussion, I move to approve the department total amount of $270,054.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Counsel McCarthy motions to approve the total personnel and non-personnel expenses for human resources personnel budget in the amount of $270,054, seconded by Counsellor Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed?
4-1, this passes. On to the workman's comp, which I apologize for my preemptive question.
Sure, so as you can see, the workers' comp number is increasing. You do see a contribution from the school department. This accurately reflects, I would say, a pretty good team effort and teamwork approach to reducing our workers' compensation costs. Kristen Schaefer, who's the school business manager, and I'd like to highlight Margaret Murata as well, have worked both closely with Lisa and myself and a whole team of people trying to both be preemptive. What are we doing for training? Are we ensuring that people are driving correctly and walking in hallways correctly, wearing the proper footwear? If you are standing on a stool, does that stool have wheels? Should it not have wheels?
Don't post anything on your bulletin board if you're on said stool with wheels.
I can say that it's been a pretty collaborative approach between both city and school HR, at least during my tenure here, and I know longer than my tenure, Lisa, trying to get this number down. It is a behemoth. It is also a bit of a backlog. So your loss ratio trails you a little bit. So the good efforts that we're making, we're hoping will be paying off in the next couple of years in terms of reducing injuries in both the school department and on the city side of things. But it's certainly a number that we beat down Maya for. I don't think they enjoy my phone call or Lisa's phone call saying, what can we do? What classes can we take? What trainings can we take advantage of to ensure that we keep this number under control and our employees safe and happy and safe at work.
And to that end, as far as what Sarah mentioned with the school department, we do have a really good relationship with the school department. We have quarterly meetings along with our Maya rep to just go over open cases, where we're at, where we stand, the life of the claim, what we think will incur, something ripe for settling. Right now we have a couple in process, I believe, looking for accidental disability retirement, so they'll be off our rolls. But the other interesting thing is, over the last few years, we've partnered with Maya to sort of address all of we have some issues at the school department with assault and struck by claims. And so we've been implementing through webinars and on-site trainings and even just telephone coaching for just sort of a train-the-trainer type, how to sort of prevent these before they happen, because we thought we saw a trend in certain schools, but we actually didn't. It sort of started at one point a couple of years ago. We did see it in a certain environment, but overall, that's where we're really putting our focus with Maya, and Maya's been excellent with that. As I said, the school department has as well.
And it is working. We're seeing that there are less struck-bys. There is, I think, a Superintendent Ruiz leading from the top all the way down. It has a really great approach on keeping both teachers and students safe and trying to ensure that we are taking advantage of every possible premium credit, training, workshop, anything that can help get this number down.
Thank you so much for that. If no other committee members have a question, I know Councillor Turiel had a question, so that's all right. I'll start with Councillor Turiel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, how has that trend been over the last several years? We've had, I know we've integrated further with the school budget. I know, and I know some areas that formerly had been on the school budget side have come up with the city budget side. Some other expenses have gone back and forth over the last couple of years, especially with things like the IT integration and stuff. We've done a lot of that. How has this been progressing over the last few years, the workers' comp trend between both sides, I guess?
Well, the number for the budget has gone up, and I think there's a couple of things that's responsible for that. One is, once people get on, it's really hard to get them off. There's a process that is somewhat out of our control that you really need to work through. We did bring a fair amount of students in district over the last couple of years. And some of those students are, I would say, behavioral modifications, and the training to go along with that can be, there can be a catch-up time for that. So a fair amount of the workers' comp cases that we're seeing are actually happening on the school side of the budget, has been mentioned. We've doubled down and are working hard to make sure we're training all of the paras, all of the teachers that are on those front lines who are experiencing some of the workers' comp claims. We also had a run within cafeteria areas, so we're doing a lot more training. We expect this number to trend down, but once you get on, it is a while before you actually get off. By making the schools a little more directly responsible for some of this funding as well, we feel like there's greater accountability on their part to make sure these measures are being taken to prevent injuries, to limit risks, and to being more thoughtful around how we're setting up classrooms, how we're doing the work that needs to be undertaken, particularly with some of the therapeutic populations that is a little bit more of a struggle.
Workplace injuries are not something to take lightly in either environment.
Absolutely.
The other thing too, if I could just add, that we do try to do is, if we do find that an employee is injured and there's an opportunity for him or her to come back, perhaps on some type of a modified duty, it's better, you know what I mean? We really work aggressively with that, because we budget for salary. We don't budget for the indemnity payments. Do you know what I mean? So if someone is out, Maya's paying that 60% every week, and so we try to get somebody back, even if it's, maybe you can't go out there and, fill a pothole, but you can either, maybe assist, or we had a gentleman in another department who wasn't able to actually work effectively with both hands, but yet could still pass equipment to someone else, that sort of thing. And that way, we're paying regular salary, but of course we budgeted for, because the indemnity payments go right to our premium.
Many of our employees are anxious to get back.
Yes.
So if they can come back under a limited duty scenario, they actually want to do that, and it's certainly helpful to us as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the committee have any questions? Councilor McCarthy?
Seeing no further questions, I move to approve the total amount of $448,832.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the total personnel, non-personnel expense budget for workmen's compensation in the amount of $448,832, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. On to unemployment.
So you'll see that there is a reduction in unemployment cost from the adopted budget last year of $425,000 to the requested budget this year of $400,000. Lisa does a bang-up job. Lisa and her whole staff, that should be real clear because it's definitely a team effort. And it was Monica was a big part of that when she was working, and now Amy O'Keefe working with the whole crowd on a couple things. A, managing our unemployment claims, making sure that we're following up when there's an opportunity for the city to defend itself, provide information, respond in a timely manner, working collaboratively with the schools to ensure that we have all the information that's being requested of us. We think that this is a reasonable number based on the trends that we're seeing in FY17. But this is certainly an area where the HR department really works judiciously to ensure that, we are paying those that are deserving of being paid, but making sure that we're following up on anything that's requested as part of an overall claim.
Yeah, I said it perfectly. What is encouraging is, when someone is on unemployment, right now it's, 50% of your average weekly wage for 30 weeks. With the unemployment rate in Massachusetts, it was like 2.8 back in December. It's 3.6 now, but it's still relatively low compared to what we saw. I mean, if you remember a couple of years past, like you were on the council, but some of you may have been, I was pretty much begging for more money to get us through the end of the year for unemployment because the costs were just so outrageous because there are extensions that are triggered by the unemployment rate. So what I'm getting at is the unemployment rate is low. I don't see extensions on the horizon. And we really are on top of it, I know.
To 100 weeks.
Excuse me?
They went to 100 weeks at one point.
Yeah, it was, and they were unfunded. I mean, we just sort of had to, somehow figure it out. And, there were overlapping claims, and so if there's an extension, you can only collect for 26 weeks because the extension sort of starts retroactively on the claim. And yeah, it's manageable though. We're getting there. Like Sarah did say, we do work with the school department. We make sure reasonable assurance letters are sent out on time, and we do protest claims that we feel are meritless. Unfortunately, there are times where, if we're say an employee is with us, leaves, it goes to another employer, we still could be a secondary payer if that person goes on unemployment from that second job, and they still have a benefit year, we could still be paying on that prior claim.
Thank you. Any other questions from committee members or committee of the whole members? Council McCarthy.
Move to approve the department total amount of $400,000.
Second.
Council McCarthy moves to approve the personnel, non-personnel expense budget for unemployment compensation in the amount of $400,000, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Okay, matter carries. Group insurance.
So you will see what I would deem to be a pretty modest increase considering the size of the budget for the group insurance commission and the overall group insurance budget. Again, kudos to the HR department who spent an incredible amount of time evaluating the current plans for the group insurance commission offerings, doing outreach with all of our employer units, taking a road show as we like to call it, sharing as much information as possible, walking through plan by plan with employees, trying to explain these are your best options. Can I look up your doctors? I can say as a personal testament, Lisa sat with me in my office after work and went through all of my doctors to ensure that I was on the right plan. So it's certainly a team effort to make sure that our employees are informed of all the options that are before them. I would say that in comparison to some of the increases that our surrounding communities are seeing for health insurance, this is certainly large, but it is manageable.
And one nice thing about being in the GIC, people do have an opportunity to choose a plan that they can afford. Because all the plans I think are affordable. I mean, except of course the ones that are closed now because their rates were so high. But it's been really nice to see people actually, over the years, just pay attention and enroll in plans that actually worked for them. And it wasn't just, I have to get the most expensive plan because that's the best coverage. Because at the end of the day, the coverage is coverage, the deductibles are the same. It really just depends on the network. And this year we were fortunate, I think, I made a note, we had like 47 subscribers opt out of the higher plans, the most expensive plans, to get into to opt into lower cost plans, which I think is just it's great for the employee, but it's also clearly it's good for the city because it's less premium that we're paying.
Thank you. Any committee members? Councilor McCarthy?
Nope, it's a big number. Seeing no discussion, I move to approve the department total amount of $12,868,727.
Second by someone?
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve the total personnel, non-personnel expenses for the group insurance for human resources in the amount of $12,868,727, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. Yeah, health insurance. Crazy.
Actually pretty exciting. Kind of like it. No, there's just a lot to it.
There is.
And as I tell people, at the end of the day, I mean, my joke this year on my road shows was if you can read, you can cook. I mean, if you can read, you can pick a plan and understand it, but that's what we're here for.
And as someone in my day job that deals with all of the health insurance data, that I have a new joke going, as you mentioned a joke, that do you want to hear a dirty joke? Healthcare data. It's just messy. So, thank you. Should we go to city clerk?
Have two.
Yes.
It might be, if I can make a suggestion.
Or do you want to go to,
Early July.
yeah, or should we go to planning?
Planning takes a while.
Okay,
Cheryl, thanks for deferring to me.
yeah, we'll go to planning. Thanks, Cheryl. Taking one for the team.
I know, Tom, that's a lot of dinners.
Thank you, Cheryl.
You're welcome.
I'll bring you, I'm going to Iowa, I'll bring you some corn back.
Going to Iowa.
Tab 18.
Non-GMO.
So I would also like to add that there are some items related to the planning department and the capital improvement budget. So as we did last night, if you have questions relating to that as well, Tom is up here representing so many hats of
There we go.
Concom and historical and zoning and, or not zoning and planning, all sorts of good items.
Well, I'll say that this is one of my, actually, I thoroughly enjoy reading everything that your department is doing for the city. So this is one of my favorite tabs.
Oh, well, thank you.
And I can't thank you guys enough for everything that you've done to help our little McGlue Park that's now got $622,000 and it's pushing forward.
It's a very exciting project.
And the planners that you have, they've always been really great and helpful to my constituents, to the city, in getting great things done for the city. So, yeah.
Thank you for that feedback. I think we have a really great team, and it's a privilege to work with everyone in the department. So thanks for the feedback.
Definitely. Are there any questions from committee members? I was actually very impressed with the housing, with everything that Naomi's done in that area, how she's been helping so many people, and that's great that we can offer that through the home program and everything.
It's a lot of demand. You know, there's a waiting list now for those.
I think one of our biggest fears is the uncertainty of what might happen at the federal level. We have certainly been seeing some cutbacks in the CDBG program, even under the Democratic administrations in the past, and the early proposals look like a complete elimination of CDBG. It won't affect the next fiscal year, but certainly the fiscal year beyond, if that is something that makes its way through the congressional budget process. There's a fair amount of communities who recognize tremendous benefits, count us among them, from the CDBG program. So we're hopeful that through advocacy efforts we'll be able to maintain the program. But it's definitely a worry for a lot of local leaders what might happen, and frankly state leaders. There's a large chunk of funding that comes from HUD through to this Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We're a direct entitlement community, so it comes directly to us from HUD. But there are a fair amount of communities in Massachusetts who do receive funding through a pass-through program that the state has. That also would be eliminated. So we are hoping to keep it, but I would want to flag that for fiscal year 19 anyways.
And I should also mention all the work that Erin has done with the Friends of Green Lawn, everything that you guys have done for the Dixon Chapel. That's huge, and I know that there's going to be a lot more work, but
yes, no,
so worth it.
It's exciting, and the Friends of Green Lawn are a tremendous volunteer group, a real force, a lot of energy, and that's Erin's really enjoyed working with Christine, and we keep going after some money. That's what we do. We try to track down grant funds and working with Christine and the folks there as well. So.
Exactly, and I think that that's one of the things that I so enjoy about reading through this section is like, they got this grant, they got that grant, they got this grant. You guys go after money hardcore, and I wish if every department had that opportunity to do that. I think every department should.
Well, it definitely takes the commitment on behalf of the city, so we're fortunate to have, a professional and well-staffed planning department, and, definitely appreciate the support from the city to get us to that point, and enabling us to have people full-time that are working not only managing projects and programs, but also going after those dollars, whether it's the tree grant that we just got, one of the most recent ones, or all the waterfront grants. I mean, we wouldn't have the cruise ship terminal, the ferry, all of that's emanating substantially from grant dollars. Our pieces of those puzzles are small, and we want to see that trend continue going forward, for sure.
Madam Chair,
And Councilor Fumiko.
not being a member of the committee, first off, I am a fan of these new LED lights. I can actually see the stars in Salem now. It's pretty awesome. Just wondering, for the CIP for planning, there's a downtown development study. Could you just speak a little on that?
Sure, yes. Thank you, Councilor Fumiko. We have a number of moving pieces downtown in terms of the Superior Court County Commissioners buildings that will be coming to the SRA for redevelopment. The city-owned crescent-shaped lot across the street is another piece. One of the things we're looking, DCAM is working to update a feasibility study on the Superior Court County Commissioners buildings, and we've been working with Arrow Street on the crescent-shaped parcel. There may be some additional work that we need to do beyond that. We've been spoke with the MBTA, actually just met with them yesterday. They own a portion of land adjacent to our crescent-shaped parcel that would make sense, we think, to include in the disposition of the city parking lot there. There's a potential for air rights development over the busway. That's a more complicated question that we may need to explore a bit further. And then a related piece is looking at the linkages of those two sites, the Superior Court County Commissioners and the crescent-shaped parcel. So this money would be going to look. The scope isn't defined at this point because we're going to be getting more information as these studies are done, but to advance that further and also looking more holistically around the city for some other pieces. Matt Smith is looking, there's a study being done of the Museum Place Mall Garage, looking at sort of structurally its life expectancy and what investment will come from that. Depending on, I think that study is meant to be done in the early fall, and depending on what that concludes, that may factor into some of our thinking as well.
Thank you.
Any other members of the committee have a question? Councillor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I like the team effort within your department. I worked in the same department, actually, with the mayor years ago, but I worked there for almost 15 years, I think. I'm not sure if you're aware how long I was there. I do like the fact that 12 or 13 of your employees, including yourself, are getting 3% raise across the board. It's nice. It's really team effort there, not just because of raise, but they absolutely deserve a raise. I enjoy speaking to each and every one of them. I thank you for the tour that you, and thank you for bringing up the county offices, the two buildings on Federal Street. Councilor Fumiko and I and quite a few other people from around the city took a wonderful tour, about almost 2 hours long, through the entire complex, both buildings. What a unique opportunity there. I want to echo the comments that I gave you while we were out there. Two things. One is that if you please, on the committee that I chair, study the HDIP project, incentive program for housing. And we approved it, and the entire council approved it. I'm asking that you really consider putting a weight, or recommending a weight, to the redevelopment authority so that we keep the court-related uses very strong on Federal Street, and that those two buildings hopefully get turned into something that's not residential, if possible. And I understand it might not be possible, but weight it so that it goes forward that way.
Excuse me.
The other is I asked you to please invite some unusual developers who are doing, in your department's study and readings, if they happen to see a unique project in Philadelphia or somewhere else that somebody is really doing something that's unusual, please invite them to come here to Salem to work on this project. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other
Thank you.
members? Councillor Fumiko.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not being a member, do we know how many people actually utilize the trolley rides every year? Do they give us a count back?
Yeah, we do.
That'd be great to know.
I can get you that number.
Thank you.
You can get that number. Can you get HDIP?
Any further questions? Let's see. If I can ask a question about the fees, I don't know if this is DEP admin? So nothing's been spent there this year. Is that typical, that it doesn't get spent until later in the year?
It depends when we get invoiced. Really.
Exactly, it depends on the year, so you could have a delay where the DEP is on a 1.5 year sort of delay of that.
Got it.
So we could really.
Okay, so we have to pad it to get ready to be.
Not pad, prepare.
Prepare. Yes. Padding is not what we do. Okay, and then the Imagine Salem website hosting, that went away because
We reached out to Matt Killen,
Yep.
same as last
And I
night,
think
about
okay,
coordinating
great.
internal efforts.
Great. Anyone else have any further questions? Councilor McCarthy?
Seeing none, I just want to say that Tom, we're lucky to have you back. I remember when you were here before, and we're lucky to have you back, and 10 pages of bullet points in this budget. 10 pages of bullet points. It speaks volumes of what you and your staff do. And that being said, I would move to approve the department total amount of $542,957.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve the planning general administration budget for personnel and non-personnel expenses in the amount of $542,957, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. On to Conservation Commission.
One of our largest budgets, the Conservation. You will see a slight increase relating to dues and subscription, and also the parceling off of salaries. You'll see a little bit of a slight change there, but primarily it's that we are putting adequate money so that Tom Devine can go somewhere.
Right. Well,
Attend great.
No, it's Ashley. We switched to Ashley.
Oh, it's Ashley.
Right.
I'm sorry. It says Tom here. Sorry, Ashley.
That's right.
She's the new.
Ashley is our new conservation agent. Right, exactly.
Any questions, Councilor McCarthy?
Seeing where that the budget has no significant changes in level funded, I move that we approve, seeing no further discussion, I move that we approve the department total in the amount of $30,509.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the Planning Conservation Commission total personnel and non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $30,509, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Opposed? On to Planning Board. My first job in the city.
Oh, that's right. You know it well.
I do. And I will say that I'm sorry, Sarah, that I'm also happy to see that it's another Ward 6 resident that is typing the minutes.
You will see a slight uptick in advertising costs, which is relative to what is actually being spent. I'm sure that this will probably, hopefully, cover the year, but that is the largest, I would say, of increases on the expense side.
Yes.
So there was a slight reduction in Amanda for $20. Is that what that is?
$20.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry, not $20. A slight reduction for her salary?
No, from 25,727.61 to 26,397.85. Amanda is parceled off over a couple different budgets, which you'll see on the main plan of
Okay.
general administration.
Okay. Yep. Because the department recommended 29 and then Scott.
Oh, I think you're just looking at the department request. So each department put in a requested increase that was basically right in line with what the mayor is proposing for the planning department. So you'll see a slight decrease between that.
Yep.
But if you look on what was voted by council and then what the proposed is now, it's certainly not a decrease.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Councilor McCarthy?
Seeing that the only difference in their budget seems to be the increase in advertising, just proves how busy they are because they have to advertise more of what they're doing. I move, seeing no further discussion, I move the department total in the amount of $35,418.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve the planning board personnel and non-personnel expense budget for the planning board in the amount of $35,418, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. Marketing and tourism. We also have Kate Fox here as well.
So you'll see that the appropriation for Destination Salem remains the same as it has been for the past 3 years. You will see a slight reduction in advertising based on year-to-date expenditures, but otherwise there is an overall reduction in the budget of 0.14%.
So I guess my one question is, are we seeing that 2017 is looking to be as strong of a year as 2016?
From a marketing and tourism perspective?
Yeah.
I mean, Kate, do you have any sense of the trends? There's a little bit of worry about international travel being down, but the economy is still strong, so we're certainly hopeful that hotel motel tax rates are going to be going up, given the number of new beds we have coming online.
Right.
And the exemplary job that Destination Salem does, marketing and really partnering with other agencies, whether it's Mott or the North of Boston Convention and Visitors Bureau. We're trying to leverage the dollars that we have to bring more people, obviously, to our community, but also to leverage off what partners are doing in the region and in the greater Boston area. Do you have a sense of the trends?
Well, the concern over international travel is real, but international is only about 10% of our total inbound traveler. So we're looking to supplement it and support it with domestic travel. It is increasing. We have a very optimistic outlook for fiscal 18, and the hotel motel tax receipts have consistently gone up over the last several years. And we look forward to having more rooms.
Yeah, I will say that the Octobers that I worked at Pamplemousse, that oftentimes meeting all the different tourists and saying, oh, where are you from, and wherever else in the country, and oh, where are you staying? Could you get a place in Salem? And no, we couldn't. We were staying out of Salem, so it'll be nice to have more people staying in Salem, because I know that they would really like that, and then they spend their money here. Councilor Terrell.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. The downtown and on the market and tourism side is one of the kind of the real jewels of the city, and the way we've been able to bring people in. I'm downtown a lot I eat there, I shop there, I visit friends there. And I notice, every year there's more and more activity downtown. There's more and more people just browsing stores and going to activities, planned activities. I know our public art planner has done a wonderful job in really bringing some new life to Artists Row, which is really needed it for years. And even though I know there's work going on right now to try and kind of revision what that's going to turn into. I've seen some of that, but what's been done to reactivate the limited space that we have now has been terrific. I know one of the things I'll say I've talked about with the mayor some is working on trying to get for the businesses and stuff down there. We've been working on trying to get internet access down there for them. That's been a major push that we both complain to each other about.
Wi-Fi might be on the way. Just
Good. Cross our fingers.
Exactly.
I think that's been a real improvement, and I'm very impressed by what we've been able to do, especially on the budget we have. Things like the flea market and the farmers market has become more and more successful, more of a destination every year. That's all absolutely tremendous. I guess the one sort of question I have on some of this, it's not the question is this ties to what the chairman was saying about tourism and bringing people into the city. I know we have the Merchant, which has been very successful so far, and I know the Hotel Salem is on target to open up, but we also have the the Hawthorne has done some expansion as well. Where are we at right now with, first off, the Dodge Street project, and secondly, I know the often delayed, because I think they're too busy fighting with each other to build it, the Waterfront Hotel. Any news on the expansion or construction on either one of those projects at this point?
Yeah, sure. The Hampton Inn, which is the area right across from Mill Hill, the Hampton Inn, particularly that side of the parcel is the side closer to the Starbucks. When RCG's been working on getting the mixed-use project going, the hotel was always going to be the second part of that aspect, but the construction costs tied to the new mixed-use project are coming in way higher than anticipated, and it's actually flipped where the hotel is going to take on more of the lead, the Hampton. They are looking at whether they may need to expand their footprint a little, so they're trying to fine-tune what their final design will be and determine whether or not it's a major or minor modification that will require some additional reviews before the SRA. and they're hoping to start construction this year. So the hotel will actually be taking the lead, be happening first, and then the rest of the construction going up the hill. As soon as we get more information on whether it's a major or minor, we'll have a better idea of the timeline. I think they're investigating that right now, and I think they might end up making the hotel space a little bit bigger, is what my sense is from having some discussions with them. In terms of the waterfront hotel, they were putting their finger back out to check the market a few months back, given some of the changes in the market conditions here, and trying to get a firmer grip on what they were going to do going forward. And I have not received an update from them since that conversation, which was quite a few months ago. So I'm happy to get an update and find out what they're thinking. They're fully permitted, local level and state level. So there's nothing in terms of locally holding them back from starting construction.
If I recall, they're still sitting on a liquor license too, even for it, so.
Yep.
Yeah, so I look forward to having those, additional couple of hundred, local tax-paying beds in the city.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, we're really, work closely with Destination Salem to try and think about how we can elongate the season. We have plenty of people coming here in October. We don't want to lose, I guess, folks coming. But the real goal is, as you've noticed, to sort of stretch out the season and to have more people staying in Salem, where they'll spend more money, they'll eat more, they'll do the sorts of things that visitors do when they come to town, and stay within that community. So we're really hopeful that we've seen tremendous growth. I mean, thanks to the commitment of our community to help take a portion of those hotel motel tax refunds or funds and use them to help spearhead promotion and marketing efforts. It's really paid off. And that was the goal when former Mayor Anthony Salvo, Steve, you might remember this, he was the first mayor that adopted the local excise tax, and it was, let's return some of those visitor dollars to visitor services. And it's a model that we're still using today. And I think even more thoughtfully so, given the success of the Destination Salem partnership, and using those dollars wisely, new logos, hip marketing in the areas where we really need them. I think one foray that we've talked about trying to get into a little bit more is more of lifestyle marketing. I think that we have a fair amount of tourists and visitors who come here. How do we make sure people know this is a great place to live? How do we make sure people on the North Shore, just in those 5 to 10 mile radius out, know this is a great place to come enjoy a meal, take in an attraction, see an event, and continue to press just the high quality of life that living in Salem offers. So that is something that it would be nice for us to be able to work on. We've had some discussions about it. Where's the right spot for it to fit? How do you fund it? But it certainly is, it's happening organically now. It'd be great to promote it a little bit as well.
Thank you.
And Sarah, I know that you had mentioned in your overview about the advertising budget, and I didn't quite hear it. Can you just
reflective on year-to-date spending. So when we look at all of the expense lines, we look over the past 3 years of spending. Are you spending less, more? Do you need more? Trying to accurately budget. So that's
okay.
Based on.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councilor McCarthy?
I move that we approve the department total in the amount of $244,425.
Second.
Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the total personnel and non-personnel expense budget for the planning, marketing, and tourism for $244,425, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Thank you. And on to, historic preservation.
So the largest increase that you'll see is related, and by largest, I mean $450, is related to in-state travel and meetings to allow staff to be able to attend necessary trainings and conferences related to their work on the Historical Commission.
Okay. And let the record reflect that Councilor Terrell has left the building.
No other notable changes.
Any questions from committee members? Councilor McCarthy.
Seeing no questions, I move that we move the department total amount of $10,286.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the total personnel and non-personnel expense budget for his planning for historic preservation in the amount of $10,286, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. Thanks, Tom. Have a safe flight.
Thank you. Thanks so much, and thanks for all your support for the department. think I speak for everyone in the department. We love what we do. We love the city, and I'm so happy to be here. Thanks.
We'll be looking for the corn.
All right.
I will.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay, so let's go to section 2, city clerk.
Put that Motley group.
Number 2, okay.
Counselor Gerard, did you want to start with city council and work down? Or are we starting with city clerk?
I said, whichever. I have no problem. Should we just go city council down?
Yeah, just in order.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hello.
I was happy to see in your overall long and short-term goals to be putting more information and more forms on the city's website. I know that that can be a tedious process until you get it up and then get it in the right format and all of that. So greatly appreciate that. One question that I had in terms of the advertising budget for city council, it doesn't seem like this was an unusual year, so I guess why was the budget requested for $20,000 if really you end up spending $0.8?
Well, in the narrative that the mayor gives, she asks you to level fund. And back in February, I had no way of gauging how much we would get for advertising, how many ordinances or how big they would be, how many pages worth. And there's really no real good way of gauging it.
Okay.
Had I known we would have gone this high and even higher, I probably would have asked for more, but at this point, when it's only February and you're trying to put your budget together and you're asked to level fund, you do the best you can.
So do you think that there's more advertising during election years versus off years? Or?
I just think that there's been a lot of advertising. One small ad for say a traffic ordinance can add up pretty quickly. If you have 4 counselors in a meeting that have a small ad, they're all around $250, $300 a piece. You get a huge ordinance, could be several pages, then you're looking at $1,000 plus. Then we have retail ads, like anytime that we have any zoning to do, those have to be advertised twice. Bonding in its entirety has to be done twice. So all those things add up over time. There's never any real good way to gauge how much you're going to get in a given year. Obviously, we're getting 2 bonds with budget, but you don't know any other time during the year if you might get any more, or it's just, unless I get a crystal ball.
Did you put that in the budget to request a crystal ball?
I forgot to do that.
Next year.
Next year. I'll make a note of that, crystal ball, okay?
Get one for me, too.
Well, yeah, when I find one, we'll all get one.
Sorry, were you going to say something?
With printing and binding, we use that line item to pay for municipal code, which again, that's your ordinances. It pays for the zoning ordinance, the regular ordinances, the updates, the online, the maintenance of it all, and zoning. And then we also pay West Group, and biannually we use the money to also do the city manuals, the little manuals that everyone gets. And there's been an increase in municipal code for their coding, so that is why I elevated that line item. As far as one thing I wanted to mention, we started trying to put the backup documents to your agendas on the website too. It hasn't been an easy task because if there's a lot of paperwork, my scanner says, oh no, you don't. So unfortunately, you might have 1, 2, 3 different attachments because it won't accept that many pages. It says it's too much. So maybe someday down the road, if there's a scanner in the future that can do a lot better scanning or more pages at once, it might be helpful. So I just wanted to add that. Do you know?
I do. I was under the impression that yours had the capability to do that, but I can certainly talk to Whitney and see if we can figure that
Yeah,
out.
well, it does scan very well, but it's been crashing on us. Like the last meeting, we had a struggle with it and had to do everything in little segments.
Sure.
It didn't want to scan more than so many pages, so, I mean, we got it done, it just took more time, that's all.
Yeah, I'll be glad to talk to Matt
I
Kelly.
mean, I just don't want it to be cumbersome for them to be looking at it either, too. Of
course.
And so the midterm inaugural line, does that fluctuate, like with?
With the given year. I mean, obviously, next year it'll be used, for inauguration time for your boutonnieres and corsages and flowers and whatnot, and programs or whatever we need, the mayor needs, whatever. So we usually try to get everything we need out of that. Okay? If we don't use it, we just give it back,
Okay, I mean, those were all my questions. Did anyone else? Councilor Fumiko?
For you not being a member of the committee, instead of scanning, has anyone looked at doing like a training for an Adobe Pro where you can drop it in and combine it?
So, Cheryl, sorry.
We get these documents from all different sides. They're coming down from the mayor. They're petitions that are submitted to us for polls by National Grid or Verizon or whoever. So they're coming from all different avenues, and if someone is petitioning the council to get a block party permit, then, it's all separate documents coming from all different places.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, if there's an easier way to do it, I'm all for it.
Good to hear.
And anyone else have questions? Councilor Dibble?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Two compliments to you. I think that your department does a phenomenal job. I contact you either in person, walking in your office, or by phone or by email at least every other day. And it's been that way for a year and a half, and your response back to me is very timely, and I thank you for that.
Welcome.
I want to make sure, I'm sorry, we're on the city council.
Yes.
Okay, we'll stay there. The other compliment is that I really thank you for including this photograph here with my friend Joe O'Keefe in it, and not replacing it with the photograph with me in it. So please carry that on. This is good, thank you.
I didn't have a photograph of the council.
I'm not
to put-
complaining, I like it.
Oh, okay.
So it's good, keep my face off of it and leave my friend Joe on there.
Maybe we can Photoshop his face next year.
So thank you. I look forward to discussing the city clerk's section when we get there.
Any other questions? No? Councilor McCarthy?
Seeing none, I move to approve the department total amount of $185,900.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the city clerk's legislative city council budget, total personnel and non-personnel expenses in the amount of $185,900. Seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All right. City clerk.
Okay. The salaries, thank you for putting in for a raise for myself and my assistant. I thank you, Mayor, too, for agreeing to it. Also, there was an increase on, office equipment stayed the same, but in printing and binding, we have a lot of bookbinding to do for council minutes and vital records, so we increased it by 500 because the cost of doing that has increased over the years. The only other increase that I've done in this budget was increase the archival supplies and equipment too, because the cost of protective paper and all of that has gone up as well. there was one thing about the city clerk that I wanted to mention, a couple of things, actually. We do have a senior clerk in our office, and I'm kind of chomping at the bit, praying that, an opening doesn't come up in another department so that we lose her. We keep losing staff in room 3 because of upgrades, and that's okay. I don't begrudge anybody to move on and to look for, better pay scale and all that. She will eventually get to a higher level, but it takes so long. If something happens and this job comes open, it hasn't been working for us to drop the rate down to a senior clerk, because I'm always the one that's going to be hit by losing someone. It was that way in the collector's office, and they lost someone, and then they raised us from a senior clerk to a principal clerk, or whatever it is, principal account clerk, and now they won't be losing people like that either. You know what I mean? It's higher. So in order to try to keep my staff in place, I hope that if she does apply for something else and moves on, that eventually we can post that as a higher rate than it is, so that we don't keep dropping back and constantly losing people.
Is this the AFSCME position you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah. And we did lose, and I know we'll get to elections, but we did lose our part-time bilingual girl for after a month of having her. She was a darling, and I loved her. I hoped that she had stayed, but she, her life situation changed, and she needed a full-time job, and then one opened up in the collectors, yet I get to say hi to her every day. She's still not working for us anymore. So that position is due to be filled, too. The Human Resource Director says it's going to be posted soon, so.
Okay, great. Any questions on the city clerk's budget?
If I may.
Councilor Devlin?
I'm looking at my notes, and I forgot to mention one comment, but on the advertising bill, and I know it's not here, we just voted on it, I'm looking at other cities and towns and what they do when I'm looking at the legal ads, and they've reduced the size of the font to something very small to reduce the whole volume, and clearly with a goal of reducing the overall cost of that ad, which I don't know why they're so expensive.
I don't set the font. That's what the people at the news do. We scan, or we send them the exact ordinance, and they retypeset it however they set it. I don't know if they are using a larger font or not, but that's not our doing.
Perhaps we're the customer. Perhaps we can ask them to reduce the size so that we'll save a substantial amount of money. Maybe 25% off that budget. It's still a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
Some of the ads are just so long that...
Well, anything over 8 required pages, we're able to only print it in brief, but some of the stuff that we've had, it's been lengthy at best.
Madam Chair, sorry for missing that earlier, but I thought it was worth bringing up.
Advertising is an expense that sounds like it's all across the city, no matter what department we're going for, we're getting to be a busier city. That's the thing. We're doing a lot of work here in Salem, and the council has done a lot of work on ordinances, and the mayor has sent down a lot of different ordinances, making things better. So I know there's always a cost at making things better.
Any further discussion? Councilor McCarthy?
Madam Chairman?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Personal
Councilor
comment.
Perry.
The city clerk's office has gone through an amazing year this year, and so in May going into June. And it's amazing what your team have done with the recount that we have to go through, the arduous, tedious work to go through Sunday meetings and nightly meetings, arduous tasks. It's just beautiful. And how lucky we are, not only as a city council, but as a city as a whole, to have you and Eileen and Rochelle and Maureen, the whole team. Amazing that recount and what you've gone through. Thank you very much.
Councilor McCarthy? You had your hand raised.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too want to say thank you. It's been 10 years. Seems like yesterday.
It does.
Seems like yesterday I walked through that front door as a, whatever.
Does
But,
go by fast.
yeah, it goes by fast.
As a rookie like me?
Yep, it was right, I sat right over there. Seeing no further discussion, I move the department total amount of $300,281.
Second.
Council McCarthy moves to approve the city clerk's personnel and non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $300,281, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Opposed? On to elections and registrations. So, a couple of questions about this. So, in the budget staffing, so you said you submitted for a senior clerk, but really would like another registrar. So what is the difference?
Well, the election room is room 5. That's
Yep.
where the part-time person is.
Okay.
When someone comes in, say, off the street that you hire, what's been happening is they come in at a senior clerk step 1. And then they have to be there an entire year before they elevate to step 2, and then another year to step 3. And then after that, they can elevate up to principal clerk. And then there's 3 steps in that. There's 3 steps in just about everything, and then they freeze off at the top step of
Is
principal
that
clerk.
registrar? So
A registrar
Yeah,
and
what's
a
the difference?
principal clerk are the same job classification.
Okay.
The registrars, they deal with elections usually.
Okay.
Years ago, because they were interchangeable as far as money goes, the city clerk way back used to call people registrars because she was allowed to have so many and then so many principal clerk. Actually, years ago, I think this was even when you first started, wasn't there only one principal clerk in an office? Something
some
like
kind of crazy ratio.
thing like that. So, but they're the same job classification at the same level in pay. So a registrar, technically a registrar should be working out of the election room, and then a principal clerk could be working out of any room. Okay.
And under the recent accomplishments, I think there was something that got cut off that it said early voting in November was a success, period. And the use of and then that got cut.
Yeah, something got cut.
Yeah, something.
Let me see. What got cut off?
Page
It was meant to
822.
keep everyone in suspense. Wondering-
Yeah,
It's a
and that's
mystery.
what I did is I wrote ... question.
It's a mystery. Where is it?
822, recent accomplishments.
Where's it cut off? Yeah, I know. So where is it cut off?
Recent accomplishments, the last bullet item. Early voting in November, right above goals.
November was a success in the use of the, yeah. I guess I got interrupted. Sorry, I
Councilor
missed
Dibble
that.
called.
Yeah, well, somebody called. And I think what I was thinking was in the use of City Hall and the satellite sites that we use was very well received.
The city hall to go?
Pardon me?
You mean like the city hall to go? What's, the satellite,
No, we
satellite vote, the
We
early
voted
voting.
up here, but
Got it,
then we
got
also
it.
had a night at the Salem, a whole day and a night
Yep.
at Salem High School, and then the charter school on Congress Street was well received by a lot of people. They really liked, and it was the day before Halloween.
It's like a Saturday morning.
It was a
wasn't
Saturday morning till 1 o'clock, from 8 to 1. And people were very gracious in thanking you for being there on a Saturday. And then you got out of Dodge before all the crowds came,
Yep.
because it was the day before Halloween. That's the reason that the state doesn't give you too much parameters to work on, even though you'd like them,
Yeah.
because every city and town is very unique in the way, like, we have Halloween, so that kind of hampers what you're doing, or you have to think outside the box and get the people out from the downtown area so that they could, like, why we use the high school, so that we could get people and commuters that were getting out of work down at the high school in the evening, and the lines were long. They were long. People really appreciated that whole thing, so, and be prepared, that will happen in 2019, because it'll be a state election and there'll be early voting again, so.
There's no early voting this November?
No, it's something that they were discussing. At one point, they discussed that cities and towns may have to adopt a mass general law in order to have it on a city level, a municipal level. I haven't heard the outcome of all of that yet. It was still in the works. I have a clerks meeting tomorrow, and I have a clerks convention this month, and I'm looking to get a lot more information. Also, I'm going to be looking at e-poll books, which does away with paper of people flipping through to find your name. It's all on like a little laptop. And it was successful in a lot of communities this year. They experimented with it. One company's e-poll books, and they allowed some of the city and towns to use them during early voting to see how it flew, and I guess it was a great success. So I'm looking forward to seeing a demonstration, because it would have been helpful, like in the remote areas, to have something like that, so that it would have been easier and it's more streamlined, because you don't have to have the full crew that you normally would have on an election day. But I'll tell you, it was very helpful to have the people I had. I wasn't sure if I needed them, but with the crowds that we did, I mean, that Thursday that we did it here in City Hall, there was over 1,000 people in one day. That was phenomenal. The line just wrapped around everywhere. It snaked all through the in the hallways.
It's a huge convenience for people,
They loved it.
Yeah.
And there were people that commented that they had never seen this council chamber in person. They'd never seen the inside of City Hall. So this was the first time they ever came through, so they were thrilled, to see their government.
And I would think to do it with some sort of tablet would be easy, because you don't have to carry up books from every ward and every precinct in order to be flipping through pages.
That's right.
It's not like they're all just coming from 1-1 or 1-2, they're coming from,
All over.
the first person's from 1-1, the next person's from
Yes.
7-2, and so you just keep flipping.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And it would have been a lot help. And there's a lot of work on early voting that still needs to be tweaked. I mean, for election day, to send suitcases of envelopes down there for them to open and check off was a lot on the wardens and clerks. So in rethinking it, you may need a separate sidebar crew to just manage the paperwork, while the warden and clerk can still.
Oh, to run little ballots in the.
Yeah. I mean, there was one precinct that I went to where they were struggling getting them into the machine.
Because of the folds.
It was the folds.
Yeah.
It's always the folds. So I stood there for about a half hour and helped them catch up, but then I showed them how to cheat and make it work, because if you bend it a certain way, you
Legally.
can force it to
No one was
go
cheating.
in. No, I don't mean cheating.
I'm only kidding.
But I mean, there was a way to bend it to make it take it, you know
Sure.
what I mean? Sort of like the dollar in the machine that
So
doesn't want to take
the
it.
doll and rub it in.
Yeah, there was a way to make it work better
Excellent.
and to keep it going. So once I kind of showed them how we did it, then they caught on and it moved smoother. But there's a lot of little things with the early voting that were great, and then there's things that obviously we need to work on,
And was that part of the Mass General law to hold the ballots until Election Day?
Yes, we were required.
You can't, so
No.
people could just come in and, yeah, that was what I was surprised by, that when I put because I tried out the early voting that in the antechamber, and that when I put my ballot in the envelope and it just kind of went into an empty box, and I was like,
We were required to secure it.
Yeah.
And what I did was, every couple of hours, I would come up with a sheet and in a box, and I would empty out what was in the machine. And there was no machine on it to tabulate it. It was just the box itself, and take out and count. I would have everybody help me count how many envelopes we had. I would leave the paper taking X amount of at whatever time it was, and hand it to the warden to keep track of what I was taking. Then I brought them downstairs to the women in room 5, and they, from the envelope, started logging in who
Already voted. Yep.
So that, because it had to be updated all the time. So the only way to do it was in little spurts. So there was a lot of exercise up and down the stairs, but it all worked well, you know?
Yeah.
The hard part was running back and forth to the high school.
Yeah.
I had to drive over there every couple hours, so.
Councilor Dibble, then Councilor Fumiko.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 2 questions. Cheryl, we talked about a while ago getting an overview, if you would, just a simple update of the results of the additional voting locations and how many people voted and the cost for those, and just to gauge if it was worth it financially to have all these additional places. Is that still possible to create?
We can still create that. There's a cost for convenience. And the fact that Salem is unique in the fact that we have Halloween right at election time, and those in that early voting fell just before, during our crush time in the city. I couldn't see making it just in one location like City Hall. I needed to do something for commuters and to keep them out of the downtown. You know what I mean? Like, the high school was a good place. It was already approved by the state. It is a polling location, and I spent the whole evening there. So, and I saw how it all worked. It went very well. And it was well received. I think that, yes, there is a cost, but in this city, with the way the city is around October and November, I think it's really something you really have to be open to, just to help the voters. Because the bottom line is, it's all about the voters and getting them there, getting them to vote. If you make it hard for them to access, they'll just, that's it, I can't get there, I can't park. Downtown is always difficult to park. I'm surprised we got 1,000 people that Thursday. I don't know where they parked. I have no idea. They may have walked, you know, but I was trying to make it convenient for them somewhere. That was the whole goal.
I voted that Thursday, and I was amazed how many people were here. It just, every time we came through, it just lines of people coming in here. But I did not go to the other 2 sites, nor did I look at the other days. Maybe the Monday or Friday might have been slower here. I'm not sure. But I'd like to see that overview.
Sure, we can do that.
If we're going to do it again, which I think we are. The other question, thank you, Madam Chair, is to Sarah, I guess. This is very useful information. And then the earlier additions that you gave to us for the to compare city clerks and assistant city clerks' salaries to other towns that we received earlier was also good. I'm going to ask next year that this come to us much earlier, if you're doing it again, the survey again next year, that we get it much earlier. But I was looking at the election assistant to the city clerk's position and their salary comparison. Did we do a salary comparison in this survey for that level position?
So I can check with Lisa, but I don't think that we did do one for that specific position. We have done surveys for a range of positions in the city, but Lisa would have to speak to it, as it is the HR department that compiles that survey.
I know the amount of work that one person puts in, and they're at 2.5%, and there's 40 of her peers at 3% or higher. So again, I'm just looking at fairness. I know that we can't increase the budget, but perhaps for next year we add her to the survey, or not her, but her position to the survey, so that we can, again, be treating our employees fair, include everybody.
Counselor, I did not ask for the raise this year for myself, and it was a counselor that brought that forward. I was willing to take a 2.5 because the mayor said that, there was going to be a deficit, and I go by what she tells me. Now, my staff, like Rochelle or Eileen, is up to the department head's discretion. I wasn't asking for anything. One year I asked for the Eileen and Rochelle, and I asked for the same percentage. But that year, what happened was one of them got a higher rate than the other, and it created a little bit of tension. So I didn't even know if I'd be able to get Eileen a raise. Do you see what I'm saying? My assistant. I have intended on raising up my assistant in the elections room. Yes, she does work hard, and she is a team player.
So perhaps we can add...
Baby bites.
Perhaps we can add that position for the next salary survey.
Yeah. I don't know how many there are out there. That job was created to try to get a woman not to retire way back. It was created by a previous city clerk. Because before, in that office, there was only 2 registrars at the same level.
Okay.
Actually, 3 registrars at the same level. But that was a created position way back with the previous city clerk.
Thank you.
Hey, is this the employment office?
It is not. Where are you looking for?
The employment office?
It's across the street, but I think they're closed.
All right.
Okay, Council Flamingo?
For you not being a member of the committee, just looking to see if we could update on the Board of Registrars to replace Philip Senden with Mitchell, who was put in last July.
What is it?
Alex Munivar Mitchell. Yeah.
And then also just wondering, what can we do to guarantee having interpreters at future elections? I see here it says it will attempt to continue this practice. How can we guarantee?
I do that anyway.
Great.
It's not required by law. I do that because we have a good amount of Spanish-speaking people that need the extra help. Like I said, it's not a requirement under law, but I made sure, even through early voting, that there was someone who was Spanish-speaking every single day.
Wonderful.
To try to help, you know. And it was helpful. It was very helpful because we had no idea who was going to come, and there were quite a few people that needed the translation, so it was wonderful.
I can see that happening even more so this upcoming election.
Yep, me too. But that's something that I automatically do.
Thank you for that. Are we doing, will we have interpreters just in certain locations, or is it done by?
No, I usually try to put it in every polling location. Trouble is, a lot of people will say, yes, I'll work for you, and that day comes and they don't show up. So I don't have a lot of backup on that. I've always looked for that. That would be helpful for me to have more backup.
All right, so we'll put out the word now since we've got a few months.
Yes.
All right, thanks, Sharon.
I mean, I do have a list of people that were great, and I pray they come back every year.
Sounds good, thank you.
Councilor Dibley?
Just to follow up on that, is it just Spanish that you look for, or are there other languages that you're addressing as well?
No, I haven't been requested to find anyone of any other language. If I did, I'd look for them too. I'm sure that I'd find them. I mean, I know that there's Russians in South Salem and Polish, and if they request that they need translation, we'll do it. We try to accommodate whatever the need is, even if it's required or not, just because it's the right thing to do. It's just like accommodating anybody with a disability. You try to accommodate any type of disability that you could think of. You know, we have a handicap booth. We have the machine that has Braille. You can do it with Braille, low vision, or anybody with vision for that matter can use the machine. It has a hearing device. It is capable of, I always get this wrong, puff and blow. Christopher Reeves had something that he used, puff and blow, to make whatever happen. And you can, there's the ability to plug into it and use it in that manner. Let's see what else. We have people of small stature and we try to accommodate them too with the lower table, and, you know, if we know about it, if there's a disability we hear about, then I work diligently to try to find a resolution to help, so, because everybody has the right to vote.
Yeah, you know, something that I had heard in the last election from some of only a few of the interpreters, but I think the instructions from the wardens have to be better, because the interpreters that I heard from said that when they heard someone with an accent and they recognized it as a Spanish-speaking accent, that they said something, you know, like, "Puedo ayudarte?" Like, "Can I help you?" And the warden was like, no, only they must approach you. You don't approach them. So I think that exactly what you're saying, that getting people to vote.
Well, the law states that the voter has to approach the warden and designate someone for their help, if they're bringing someone with them. If, I don't know why a warden would jump in if someone was trying to help them early vote. That doesn't make much sense to me.
No, it didn't, and it was unfortunate.
It could be just a disconnect, you know, which, you know, I don't know. Unless I have a specific person, date, and time, I can't tell who it was that may have jumped in. You know, maybe they misunderstood what was going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if there's somebody who needs Spanish, and normally they would go up to the table, and you could tell right away, they would ask if somebody would speak Spanish, and then with the interpreter was right there.
Yep.
So she would just jump in, or he would just jump in right then and there.
Good.
So, and the wardens were basically stationed in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how.
Yeah, it wasn't
unless
with
somebody
early
was
voting,
at
it
the
was regular
door
voting.
watching, because we were trying to limit how many people were in the room at once.
Right.
You know, because there's only just so many booths.
Right.
So.
Right, and it was with regular voting. I want to be clear about that.
If I knew about it back then, I could, you know.
If I hear about it again, I will certainly call
Yeah,
her.
just let me know.
Yes.
Because I have the tracking for every day, who was here and where it was and what time.
Yep.
So,
Okay, great.
okay?
Thank you. Were there any further questions? Council McCarthy?
Seeing no further discussion, I move that we move the department total of $198,627.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve the city clerk elections and registrations total personnel and non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $198,627, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
I'll call you tomorrow.
Oh, jeez, okay. Thank you.
Okay, are we ready for?
Do you need more water before?
No,
we-
I'm good, thank you, though. Thanks for getting it the last time.
Yep, no worries. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, thank you.
The last one standing?
You're it.
Last but certainly not least.
So section 1 for the mayor's budget.
So I don't think there are too many major changes to the budget for the mayor's office. We do have some salary upgrades, as has been noted in the past, and is included on the list. With respect to non-personnel, we've actually been able to drop some of our costs, just trying to be a little bit more consistent and clear with where the expenditures are going, and tighten up some of the areas where we felt like we could see some reductions. For the most part, the line items and the non-personnel expense category are consistent with what we've had in prior years. They include the annual city audit, contracted services. A lot of that is our city stat, our Salem stat program, along with some of the C-Click Fix licensing. And the OTA program that we have, the sister city relationship that we have there, and desire to be sort of better about tending to that relationship. It also incorporates funding for translation services, so we're trying to do more with respect to translating municipal documents that we put out into Spanish primarily. Happy to answer questions or address any issues that folks may have.
If I can just ask, so under your personnel and NBHD committee? SSU.
No place for hate committee?
No.
No.
Salem State Neighborhood Committee. Salem State University Neighborhood.
Right, so
Thank
that, yeah,
Snack.
right, snack, exactly.
Ah, okay.
It's the woman who takes the minutes for that,
Got it.
minutes for those meetings.
If you'd like to attend those monthly meetings with me, Madam Chair, I cordially invite you.
Great.
Try to stay in your award whenever you can. More going, you know.
It's crazy. I never knew. Is it the first Wednesday of every month?
Were there any questions? Councilor Lovely, then Councilor Famiga.
And these are just inquiries, I just want to know what the expenses are for. Powers and Sullivan,
That's our auditing firm. That's the annual city audit.
have we received a copy of that, council?
We generally do. We give it to you as
We
time.
usually get one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll ask. for
I have a bowl in my office. You're welcome to them.
And not only in your line item, and I'm just looking for an explanation, no criticism. UMass Boston, quite a bit of money to UMass Boston.
Yeah.
Explain what that is.
That's the Salem Stat program through the Collins Center that we have paid them for. So we have a city stat program where we track work underway in various departments, public safety, public works, looking at how many... Police, fire, public safety, right?
Building.
So tracking what we're doing in terms of the experience that we're seeing within those departments, and then tracking where areas that we can improve. We meet on a regular basis, and then there's an analyst that takes all of the data, so all of the police record files, all of our C-Click-Fix files, incorporates them into data sheets that we review with department heads. Why might overtime be up? What's contributing to a shift differential? Things like that.
Okay.
There are example slides in the budget.
Excuse me?
It's like a budget analyst on some level. She helps sort of break down that information right out of the
different programs that they operate. So the police department has they used to have a Microsoft system, now they have a new program, C-Click-Fix, they'll take that data, whatever programs we're working with, view permit on the building permit side, fire uses a firehouse program, so we take that data and synthesize it, and then review it with the various leadership within those various departments. Oftentimes, the police will have beat officers come by, so we can review that data with them and give them some sense of, why we might be looking at court time, overtime, or, calls for service, traffic violations, things like that, so.
Do you know how much we pay them a year roughly?
I believe it's $35,000.
Yeah. I can get you the number for sure.
Okay, in your budget this past year, I thought it was around 50 then. and
Around
another,
what?
there's another.
It could be more, Counselor. I have to double check.
Okay, does it come from?
So UMass Collins, we also worked with UMass on the age-friendly initiative. Their gerontology department synthesized all the data for the age-friendly action plan. So I don't know which particular.
I was looking at your budget, just out of curiosity to see where the money gets spent, and then I noticed UMass in at least one other location, $6,200, maybe that was a gerontology study or.
Gerontology department that we worked with on synthesizing.
Okay, thank you.
They've actually been a really great resource, and in comparison to some of the fees that consulting agencies might charge, they're definitely way lower than that.
Maybe it'll help them fix their garage.
Man, they definitely need some help for that.
Councilor Famiga.
For you not being a member of the committee, just wondering, with the South Salem, or with the Salem State Neighborhood Committee, why is it that they get a clerk, but we have other neighborhood associations that don't?
That's actually paid for through Salem State, and so that particular meeting, as a result of, Salem State was taking the minutes, I think, and then there was a desire to have them be more of a neutral party take those minutes, and so that's...
So they'll pay us back?
The request from Councilor O'Keefe was to have a separate person from the university handling the minutes.
So they'll be giving us the money back?
Yeah.
Okay. And a couple more questions. The second is, can we get a city Facebook page?
Yeah, I think the struggle we're having with the city Facebook page is someone to actually staff it, and you've made that request to me before, so I think we'd like to try and figure that out. I'm just struggling with who's the right person to then, it's a lot of, as you know, anyone who has a Facebook page knows, there's a lot of work entailed in that, so.
Okay, and the third thing that I'm having difficulty with this particular budget is when you look at the salary for the chief aide, although it's noted on the salary survey we got that it's an increase of 4.5%, when you actually look at adding building Salem, which this is an additional $7,000, it brings up the salary to $99,232. So between fiscal year 17 and 19, it's instead of 4.5, it's actually 12.625%.
Well, building Salem is consistent with what we've been doing, Counselor.
Yes, I understand it's consistent, but when you're looking at a salary increase of that amount, and if you look even fiscal year 14 to 18, that's almost $23,000 for a position. So I just have difficulty with that particular line item looking at an increase. Well, it's 4.5, but when you actually build in the building Salem, it's a lot more than that.
I guess I would just share with you, the Building Salem was created because of all of the work that we have going on in various capacities within the city. It was primarily funded the initial years with the footprint power plant CBA agreement and funding from Algonquin. There are some capital dollars that go into that. It's a really useful tool. It has both a Facebook page and a website. It enables us to do more than just the power plant or the Algonquin, the gas line project or the cable replacement project. With everything that's happening, the least we want to do in terms of making it easier for constituents is to communicate what's happening. So 2-week look-aheads, being able to share information about road closures, upcoming impacts that might be felt. And, the interesting thing about Salem is obviously you're impacted if you live in that neighborhood, but any of us who drive through the South Salem corridor are impacted, or, we're always crisscrossing various areas. So we think it's a really important tool in terms of allowing people to know what's happening. We're experiencing a real renaissance here, and all of these projects have impacts, and it's, for us, information and getting it out timely. So it's a stipend. I don't think, we think we need it for at least the remaining portion of, at least the remaining fiscal year, the next fiscal year. Whether it will need to continue will depend on how much work is going on at various parts of the city. At one point, between the 100-year cable replacement project, the power plant, the work going on, the Mass Works project going on at Riley Plaza, work going on in various other corridors in the city, we were blowing up just about every community. Then throw on top of that just the regular annual paving, projects that might be going on, a water or sewer repair initiative, and it can be pretty disruptive. So we view this as a valuable tool, and it takes a lot of time. I mean, it's not something that gets done within the same work week. It is getting those updates out on a regular basis. So I hear what you're saying, but I just want to, it's consistent.
It's a valuable tool. However, looking at the increase for a particular salary, I think it's too much for one person within such a, within 5 years' time.
Well, my point is that was for extra responsibilities, and it wasn't paid for with taxpayer dollars. It's coming in from CBA dollars and outside city sources, and it's an additional workload that's compensating for that.
Okay.
And I would also point out that this was actually part of the chief of staff salary last year as well.
What was the amount last year, though?
$10,000.
For a grand total of what?
For the grand total, I think that was $98,107.42.
So that's $98,107.42. So does it, at that point, because it goes over, does it considered overtime, or is it just part of the salary?
Well, you're not entitled to overtime as a salary employee. But it's certainly, I mean, I don't think you'd want anybody on this side of the tables right now punching a time clock.
Do you have last year's budget with you?
That's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Yep.
Counselor, do you have a specific question? We have the.
My question was just the increase for that. Just looking at what I have here, but I'll look back at the budget from last year later on. I can't vote tonight anyhow.
Any further questions? Councilor Devil.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to point out to the good Ward 2 councilor that the Salem State University Neighborhood Advisory Committee, their clerk that takes the minutes, that group that we meet the first Wednesday of every month, that is totally different than a neighborhood association. The South Salem Neighborhood Association is similar, but we handle other things, and that's 2 weeks later, the third week of every month. So we kind of have like 2 associations down there every month.
Right, the snack was set up as a means to make sure that the university and the city were communicating on a regular basis, so it's set by ordinance, so it is a little different than a neighborhood association, for
Let
sure.
me tell you, Mayor, it is very much needed, and appreciate that we meet. Dominic's time and the clerk's time is well used. Mayor, hidden within here, and I was trying to read my notes when I was reading this last weekend, falling asleep. Talk about 3 cruise ships coming into Salem last year. How are we doing for this year?
We had 5 scheduled, and I know 2 already canceled, so I think we're certainly consistent with 3. The one thing that does happen, sometimes they cancel because route changes. There are also times when weather impacts someplace else that they're going, and we'll get a last-minute call. The little bit of the scheduling difficulties we have this year is the power plant still actively using that pier. So we were hoping that they were going to be out of there by, the end of June, and then we'd have a full run. Because they're behind schedule and are likely to take up most of the summer and the fall still using the site, we can't just go crazy recruiting cruise ships to come in, because we have to schedule it around barges going out and work that they have going underway. So we're definitely anticipating next spring, summer season, especially with an active Port Authority recruiting cruise ships. We've already had some really positive dialogue, and they're booking 3, 4, 5 years out. So we've got some opportunities to really grow the number of visits. We're also hoping to grab some visiting vessels, as well. So
The good indicator in my mind is that the return customers are the 3 that were here last year. Are they the same 3 that came back again this coming year?
Yeah, we've had really good runs with Seabourn Quest, which is a very affluent, high-end line out of Holland America, or honestly, Princess owns just about every cruise line right now. But yeah, the experience has been good, and as that site gets cleaned up and less cluttered and more attractive, we really see tremendous opportunity to be sort of a portfolio port for a number of cruise lines.
I've had several people inquire how many people come on the cruise ships that are not driving cars and visit Salem.
So the good news is we're not looking to be a port of origin, meaning we don't see cruise ships departing from Salem as their origination point, because that brings a lot of cars and a lot of traffic without, frankly, as much benefit. We do want to be a port of call, particularly a portfolio port of call for higher end ships. Most of the ships we brought in, they're beautiful, they're magnificent, but they're not those mega ships, they're being built that have 3,000 to 5,000 people on them. They're lower in number, higher in crew ratios, and the clientele tend to be folks who are looking for more of a cultural experience than a, rum runner experience. I can get you the numbers on each one of those.
Just a
La
ballpark
Victoria,
number.
Seabourn Quest. Some of them have had up to 1,000 people. Some of them have had 800 people. So in that range, I would say, generally 600 to 1,200 folks.
We're with the current terminal, we're able to handle that.
Yeah, it's more the size of the ship that warrants what we can handle down there. And we'll need to make some upgrades to the commercial pier. We're talking to the Seaport Council about some of those investments. We currently rent or utilize a short-term rental for any of the passenger disembarkation systems. So, Bill McHugh, Kathy Wynn, and the Port Authority, we're looking forward to really getting our teeth into what's 2.0 look like on the commercial pier. As part of our community benefits agreement with Footprint, we'll co-own the pier, so it's great that will be partly a city asset. And then, the stage of really looking at those remaining 45 acres, we'll be partnering with Councilor McCarthy and a number of folks in the neighborhood through a harbor planning process. That's going to really need to be thoughtful, and I think could help inform long-term what we see happening at that pier and how actively it's used.
One more question, Madam Chair, if I may. Last Saturday, I got an email from somebody saying that we have amongst the highest taxes anywhere around here. And I'm reading your section here, and here it says we are one of the lowest, one of the lowest tax increases on the North Shore. Can you just touch upon this little, where do we stand in relationship to taxes to other towns, but in specific, this year we have a 4.3% growth, and I dug around, last year we had a 2.4% growth, so almost 2% higher this year.
Yep.
what does all that mean and where are we at?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you recall from the tax setting process that we undertake every fall, we try and give the council as much information as possible and so that schedule in terms of where we are. We tend to be, I would say, right in the low to middle low of the pack in terms of the annual average tax bill and the annual average increase that we're seeing on a regular basis. And frankly, we try to be. We're way under the levy, and by that I mean we are not taxing people to the max. I think many of our surrounding communities have very little level capacity left, so they are every single year going to the maximum amount that they can tax people under the law, plus their new growth. We've benefited from the new growth. As we're seeing, we talked about all the investments that are happening in Salem. That actually helps stabilize residential property taxes on an annual basis. It helps us shave some of the burden off of homeowners. So our average annual tax bill is, in comparison to surrounding communities, I'd be happy to get you that schedule again, has traditionally been at the middle of the pack to the lower end. And we give you all of the breakdowns, condos, singles, multis, and we tend to be in that same area. Not every community, of course, has the same character of housing. I don't think Swampscott has as many multifamilies or condos, for instance, but we think you've got to look at the places that are close to you. We're continuing to see growth in values, in fact, tremendous growth in values. If anything, we want to make sure that as property values are increasing, that we're really keeping an eye on the rate to try and keep that as low as possible. The other factor of obviously living in a place is things like water and sewer rates. This year it's a 0% increase on water and sewer rates, so we're trying to hold the line there and certainly trying to be conscious. If there's an email that I can respond to, I'm happy to do that, to at least share information. Taxes go up. I mean, we want to keep those increases as low as possible, but I also think people want more services, whether it's more roads repaved, parks that are cleaner, schools. Certainly, the lion's share of our expenditures go to our school department, and we're definitely seeing tremendous progress being made in our schools, and I think much more satisfaction among parents. Some of the survey results we've seen over the last 4 years have seen parents of students in Salem Public Schools who have taken the resident survey have doubled their appreciation for ranking our schools highly satisfactory or satisfactory. So we're trying to make smart investments that hopefully people get the benefit of who are living in our community.
And I will also say that in the budget book in section 2, the city overview has information about how we compare and about our demographics, how we compare and as compared to across the state. And then I think there was something, I think Sarah, you had written, or maybe it was Deb Jackson that had written, there was the Taxpayer 101 primer. I think she wrote that, or did you write? Regardless, that's also in here as well as explaining the tax rate and how we do what we do. So you can always refer people to those documents as well.
The budget that is before you for the newer counselors, we have followed GFOA guidelines, Government Finance Officers Association, for at least the last decade. Nina can recall when we first started this process. The budgets these have been a work in progress, and we're very transparent. I mean, we'll have a visual budget tool up soon on the website that allows you to really take your tax bill and then see how it breaks out to the various components of city government. We try to provide as much information as possible. We're pretty proud of the budget that we've delivered to you. Even when I was on the council, we never had a breakdown of all these expenditures. You really had to dig and look for information. We really want to avoid that. And if there's ways that we can save money or do things better, I am all ears. We really want to create a culture here where we're looking to improve and get better. But this budget document is really meant to be a tool to help both demonstrate to individuals where the funding's going, what the philosophies are, and the approach to trying to keep both taxes low but services high. And that's a little bit of a balance that you always have to play in terms of trying to invest in the place where we live.
Yeah, and I will say that I thoroughly enjoy reading this. I'm maybe the only person that actually says the word enjoy when I discuss reading the budget.
Like reading it too.
We're joyful.
Yeah. It's a great resource and a great tool to really understand how the city functions and where everything goes. And so I greatly appreciate all the information in here. And I would like to also say that I'm really pleased with the different programs that you highlighted, the different accomplishments, especially the Problem Properties Working Group. I know that we have a few in Ward 6 that I've been really happy with the response that I get from Dominic, from Vicky, from Tom, and from everyone there, just trying to get a handle on these properties, because they really do affect the quality of life. And I know in your opening letter that you had talked about the importance of quality of life, of public infrastructure, of education, and so this is one of those tools, so I'm pleased that you continue to support that. Yeah. And of course, the Safe Routes to School as well, that, I don't know if I've mentioned this, that it was actually a family friend in California that had started the national program. Yeah, she's since passed away of cancer, but I know Deb Hub-Smith would be very happy to know that we have it here.
Great, yeah.
Councilor Fury.
Just to concur with Councilor McCarthy, when he came in 10 years ago, we never had anything like this. Never had anything like this. So we've come a long way. Amazing. Nothing like this. It was always hit and miss.
That's what happens when you go dead broke.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Anyone want to make a motion? Councilor McCarthy?
I see no questions. I move that we move the department total in the amount of $555,158.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the mayor's executive total personnel and non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $555,158, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right,
Motion adjourned, Madam Chairman.
to adjourn.